this over here. Why? Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust this just slightly. That should be good. All right. Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you are watching this. My name is Josh, and on this channel, and welcome to my channel, and on this channel, we talk news, politics, and current events. So, I've been gone for a little longer than normal. Not too much, not a whole lot happened around last Thursday. And, sometimes, you're working on something. I'm sure you've made like a class project or an arts and crafts little project. And I'm sure you've had those times when you're like, no, this is not up to my quality standards. And you end up scrapping it. Or maybe you've made dinner and it's just not coming out the right way. That kind of happened Thursday. So besides being in kind of a cranky mood from waking up too late and just not really having a lot to produce for the show, I figured it'd be better to just save the mental space, take a day off, take it easy. Also had to get up super early all this weekend. But regardless of all of that, we are here, we are back, and more importantly, there is some fun stuff to go over. So, we begin with some, at least as of today, some breaking news. One moment. Okay, there we go. The January 6th panel has announced their referrals for former President Donald Trump. I do not know what they are yet. I have not pre-read. I am not a dirty pre-reader. So, let's just get right into it. All right. After more than a year of investigating, the House Select Committee probing the 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol has just wrapped up its final meeting and sent its final report to Congress. Wow, to think that it's really only, I mean, I guess it's been 2 years basically since Jan 6, but either way, the panel voted to issue, sorry, I had some popcorn, still a little bit. You ever get like that little bit of popcorn that's like that little like thin strip like right in your, it's the worst, the fucking worst. The panel voted to issue 4 criminal referrals for former President Donald Trump. It also referred 4 Republican members of Congress: Kevin McCarthy from California, Jim Jordan of Ohio, Scott Perry from Pennsylvania, Andy Biggs from Arizona, to the House Ethics Committee for failure to comply with subpoenas. Lovely. Wait. What is this? Committee release document that describes... No, what? Huh? 4 charges include... Oh, is that it? Is there literally nothing else? Is this article that short? What is happening? My cat is at the door. Okay, that's funny. Excuse me. Oh my god, I'm not reading that. Okay, whatever. So either way, 4 charges that the committee is referring against Trump include obstruction, conspiracy, and inciting an insurrection. Okay. We are not reading that entire report. I'm sorry. I thought this was a full fucking article. What happens? Oh, okay. Maybe we'll do this. Progressives have been irritated with Attorney General Merrick Garland's methodical or slows. Yeah, that's how I'd characterize it. Pace of pursuing charges against Trump, but it's going to be up to the special counsel whether it brings charges or what they are. They do not have to act on the January 6th committee what the January 6th committee recommends, though investigators are paying close attention. Politically, it's going to da-da-da-da-da, but it's legal trouble, da-da-da-da-da. What is this? What is this? Okay, clearly, Jan 6, referrals to DOJ. Thank you. Ay. God, NPR, get it together. All right, let's see. Criminal referrals for Trump: obstruction of an... Oh, you get out of here. Obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement, okay, incitement or assisting an insurrection. Cool. January 6th House Committee, in a unanimous vote Monday, referred President Donald Trump to the Department of Justice for criminal investigation and potential prosecution for his efforts to overturn his loss in the 2020 election. The committee's historic referral says there is sufficient evidence to refer Trump for 4 crimes: obstructing an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the government, making knowingly and willingly materially false statements to the federal government, and inciting or assisting an insurrection. We propose to the committee advancing referrals where the gravity of the specific offense, the severity of its actual harm, and the centrality of the offender to the overall design of the unlawful scheme to overthrow the election compel us to speak. Jesus fuck. Okay. Before I even read the rest of this, for fuck's sake, can you guys fucking communicate in these sorts of things in goddamn understandable parlance? Jesus Christ. I had to read that slowly and read it twice in my head while reading it out loud. Oh my God. You with the ads, go away. So that's all. I hate when reading that stuff because I feel like all like that sort of speak just ends up confusing people. Like the fuck did you just say to me? Ours is not a system of justice where foot soldiers go to jail and the masterminds and ringleaders get a free pass. Thank you. That's clear. Jesus. While the Justice Department, which is already conducting an investigation of Trump, takes criminal referrals seriously, it is not obligated to charge anyone with a crime. Okay. However, the House panel's referral underscores how seriously the committee views Trump's actions after the election in the weeks leading up to January 6, 2021, invasion of the halls of Congress by a mob of his supporters. The 9-member panel is composed of 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans, Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming and Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. Cheney was defeated in the GOP primary earlier this year, losing to Harriet Hageman, while Kinzinger did not seek re-election this year. Okay, yeah, I remember we watched that. Let's see. The 9-member panel, what am I saying? Trump, who was denied any wrongdoing, has not been charged with any crimes related to the 2020 election and the attack on the U.S. Capitol. What the okay. 5 people died as an immediate result of the riot. One of them, a Capitol police officer, Brian Sicknick. Nearly 140 other Capitol and Washington, D.C. police officers were injured in the attack, and several cops took their own lives in the heels of the riot. So let's note at the beginning here, the people who claim to be Blue Lives Matter are the ones who defend Trump for this nonsense. So let's remember that when they say Blue Lives Matter, they only mean the blue lives that agree with me. That's the only thing they care about. Let's see. If Trump were to be charged with and convicted of insurrection, he theoretically could be barred from holding federal office again under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Trump last month announced that he will seek the Republican nomination for president in 2024. Obstruction, yada, yada, yada. The committee on Monday also recommended, that's a big fucking folder, recommended the DOJ investigate and potentially prosecute Trump's election law attorney John Eastman for his role in advancing a plan to overturn the election results. Eastman's referral was his alleged violation of 2 criminal statutes, impeding an official proceeding of the United States government and conspiring to defraud the United States. Eastman was the author of a 2-page memo that outlined a plan for then Vice President Mike Pence to refuse to certify several states as electoral college electors when Congress met for that purpose on the 6th. So this was the, we kind of hold up the whole process and create a constitutional crisis that's also why they wanted Trump to declare martial law, because all in the confusion, it's basically a power vacuum while there technically can't be a president seated, and while technically the results are being challenged, yada yada yada, there's a bunch of legal nonsense, you immediately declare martial law, seize power. That's like the plan. It's just a coup. That's all it is. Raskin said the committee would refer 4 members of Congress, quote, for appropriate sanction in the House Ethics Committee for failure to comply with lawful subpoenas, which is really funny, because if any normal person refused to cooperate in a subpoena, your ass would be tossed in jail very quickly, and that'd be the end of it. You would be told, when you want to, you are required to participate in this, when you decide to do that, you can be free again. But until then, any normal American would have got clapped up like immediately. But since they're elected officials, they go easy on them. He did not name them, but House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is among the members who defied a subpoena from the committee. As it made its referrals, the committee released a 154-page executive summary of its investigation. That does not look like 154 pages. Carries the committee's... oh, okay, that's the final report. Okay. Right. The committee's actions Monday come after nearly 18 months of investigation, which included more than 1,200 witness interviews, the examination of hundreds of thousands of documents, the issuance of more than 100 subpoenas, and public hearings. The DOJ is conducting a criminal probe of Trump for his actions after the election, which involved an effort to reverse his losses to President Joe Biden in several swing states and to pressure Pence to refuse to accept Congress's certification of Biden's victory in the Electoral College. The DOJ also is separately investigating him for his removal of the government documents from the White House when he left office in January of the same year. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, in a statement Monday, lauded the... okay, I don't care about Nancy Pelosi. Jack Smith, who was appointed special counsel for the DOJ last month to handle the investigations of Trump, said at the time of that appointment, quote, "I intend to conduct the assigned investigations and any prosecutions that may result from them independently and in the best traditions of the Department of Justice." Smith added at the time, quote, "The pace of investigations will not pause. The pace of the investigations will not pause or flag under my watch. I will exercise independent judgment and will move the investigations forward expeditiously and thoroughly to whatever outcome the facts and the law dictate." Okay, so I think we kind of get the idea. So what does this mean overall? Well, unfortunately, there's two kind of ways to look at this. One, Trump is clearly, at this point, the January 6th committee, the very publicized, lauded congressional committee, is now finished with the investigation that no matter what the findings would be, no matter the makeup of the actual panel, will be characterized by every conservative as a political witch hunt, which we already knew that. That's pretty obvious. And generally will be taken, I think, two different ways. Liberals and those more inclined to left-leaning politics and kind of centrist politics to a degree will look at this as a disqualifying assessment. At the end of the day, they're going to look at this and go, well, the board wasn't, a 50-50 Republican board, but these are the findings. There's no reason to distrust any of the findings. They held public hearings. People were told to pay attention to them, to watch them. I believe we watched one or two here on this stream. At the end of the day, the non-conservative side of this will generally take this as a reinforcement of their belief that Trump is unfit for office. Now, does that mean anything? To a degree, yes. In the sense that I think it galvanizes, or at the very least solidifies, a certain segment of the population's opinions in terms of like who they'll be voting for. So when Trump, inevitably, I don't think this is going to hurt his ability to run for president, mainly because Trump already announced, right? And now these referrals have come out. And now it's going to be up to the DOJ to decide, essentially, do they want to go after Trump now that he has officially thrown his hat into the ring of, presidential political campaigning? Or do we clap homeboy up, because that's kind of following the letter of the law. If all of these findings are accurate, which we have no reason to believe that they aren't, then Trump should be arrested, or at the very least charged with a few things. Unfortunately, as they kind of mentioned, Merrick Garland is a bit of a lib and a bit of a little weakling baby boy. And I worry that they're going to end up leaving it to voters, which, while I'm not necessarily, while I would normally side on the, I would land on the side of democracy, there is a certain amount of danger that Trump and his movement pose to the stability of our democracy. So, at the end of the day, what the DOJ should be doing is charging the guy, arresting him, holding their trial. He's either innocent or guilty of any of this stuff, right? But what I fear is going to happen is they're going to say, Republicans, conservatives are generally going to call this a witch hunt. They are generally going to call for the allowance of Trump to run under these circumstances, and they will do what they did. They will use the same kind of rhetoric that they used when they held off a Supreme Court judge seating that Obama was making in his last term. They will simply say, hey, I think we should just leave it up to the voters. It's too close to an election. And that's how they'll get away with, allowing Trump to run, allowing him to propagate his movement, even though it's pretty obvious that he's anti-democracy. Trying to hold on to power after losing a democratic election is pretty sussy. So, that's what I'm kind of worried about. It's mostly what I'm worried about in terms of, what they will actually end up doing, compared to what they should be doing. Liberals will only be, their opinions will only be reinforced by this. And what's the word? And conservatives will only be galvanized by this. Now, there is going to be a Republican primary, which will be incredibly interesting if anybody tries to hold any of this stuff against Trump in their primary. But, we're a bit of a ways. DeSantis hasn't thrown his hat in yet, so we'll kind of see. But yeah, so there we are with that. It all comes down now to the DOJ. I think we all kind of knew this was coming to a degree. But this is where we're at. How's it going, Wrong Meds? So how does one get in on the conversation? So the header above me, if you'd ever like, you can email that. Just let me know kind of what you want to talk about, just because for planning purposes, if we have more time during this show or even Wednesday, we can have like a controlled conversation about a topic that you'd like to discuss. And pretty much I'll just send you a Discord link, assuming you have a Discord. Yeah, we'll just hop on a call, have a nice conversation. Sometimes it's people I disagree with. Sometimes it's people I agree with and mostly have more in common with. This is really, I kind of use that time to just kind of talk with random people and just have open conversations. I don't really look at it as a debate unless, someone comes on here and actively wants to do like a debate. So, but yeah, just email that. Let me know what you want to talk about. If it's, I think we had another viewer come on and we kind of talked about a lot of stuff. One of them was South American politics, and they kind of just gave me a kind of just mild their opining on South American politics. So I'm open for whatever conversations. I just like talking with people. So email, let me know. If we have time, maybe today. If not, Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Thursday's gonna be the fun stream. So there's also that. We're gonna do the pre-Christmas stream. So And which I just realized I didn't even plug. I didn't even plug the fun stream. Okay, so before we get into the other breaking news story that we're gonna read real quick. So Thursday, I'm pretty excited. Thursday, we're gonna be doing just a stream of frivolity. All right, we're gonna be looking back at some just delicious, some aged, like an aged wine, some delicious war on Christmas content. I kind of want to go over. I feel like sometimes people forget like the war on Christmas was like a thing. Like it was a thing every single year that we had to have a conversation about. And every single year, conservatives on Fox News specifically would complain about it. Now, we're kind of in an era that like Fox News isn't, as much as they are still like the largest propaganda arm of the Republican Party, I would wager that the online right has really, really strengthened themselves in the maybe like past, I'd say maybe like last decade. Fox News, really propagated a lot of that culture war through the war on Christmas and stuff. And because of that, it left this door open for that kind of content for the likes of Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson, all the rest of these guys, to kind of seize on that kind of framing of the culture war. And I kind of want to take a look back. It's just a bit of nostalgia, have a little bit of fun, making fun of all the really like what's the word? They were just so upset and so worried about the future. We're still celebrating Christmas here in America. It's fine. We were always going to be fine. But either we're going to be doing that. I'm thinking, I don't have the schedule completely. I know we're doing that for the most, is like the big part, is that the main event. But thinking gonna do like I'm thinking I saw somebody put like a right-wing tier list up, so I kind of want to do that. That might be fun, and a few other just frivolous, fun hangout stuff. So yeah, if you're just stopping in, maybe if you poked your head in, poked your head out, whatever. Thursday, 7:00, this stream, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some, I'll see about maybe if I can play some legally distinct Christmas music or something that's not gonna get me clapped up by copyright. We'll do a little bit of that. We'll have a little bit of fun. I'll try to have some fun on the day before Christmas Eve. But yeah, so again, if you're stopping in, you should totally follow the stream and do all that stuff and everything else. Anyway, plugs, we're done with plugs. Let's on to the next thing. So, other big kind of today's story. Whew. Man, I took like a couple days off, man. I'm feeling so good to be back on stream. It's kind of funny. Sometimes, you don't go to work for a couple days and you get that like lag. And sometimes you go back to work and you're like, fuck, let's go. I kind of feel like the second one. When I go to my real job, that's when I have the fucking lag. But this is fun. I'm glad to be back. Took like one day off, which turned, it's a couple days because of the way the schedule works. But let's go. All right. Chief Justice temporary blocks end of Trump era immigration policy. Let's see. Chief Justice John Roberts on Monday placed a temporary hold on a lower court ruling that would end a Trump-era immigration policy implemented during the pandemic to allow asylum seekers to be quickly turned away at the border. So, this was, this is pretty much, let's be honest. This is the immigration policy that the conservatives want. Let me turn this on. This is the immigration policy that conservatives want, and they were able to get, I guess, a version of it because of the pandemic. They kind of used the pandemic and the worries over the spread of COVID-19 to kind of be able to just be like, all right, immigrants, all of you, you came here, get the fuck out, goodbye. So not good. Pandemic for the most part is, as much as I think there is still COVID is still out there. We saw big tick ups in COVID over the Thanksgiving holiday. But unfortunately, I think, we're kind of at the point where COVID-19 is in that, I think the word is endemic. So it's just kind of gonna be here like the flu. The only difference is and the thing that I think we need as a society to worry about is, are we gonna treat it like that? Because we should be. If we're at the point where it's gonna be an endemic situation, then we need to treat it as such. Meaning, people need to get vaccinated just like they would the flu. Normal people get their flu vaccines every year, and like, we never have conversations about flu vaccines. For whatever reason, the COVID-19 vaccine has just been a, what's the word? One of those fucking lights, a beacon for like a lighthouse, as you would say, to all of the weird anti-vax conspiracy nonsense, because people were already kind of going through an insane moment in like the pandemic, like people were already kind of shook by the pandemic. So, couple that with now having this new vaccine, and people, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, for whatever reason, COVID-19 we have to have a conversation about all the time, but every other vaccine anybody's ever taken, nobody seemed to have batted an eye. So yeah, anyway, the brief order came after Republican-led states asked the Supreme Court to keep the policy in place. Roberts ordered that the federal district court ruling, which was due to go into effect on Wednesday, be put on hold in the Supreme Court acts. He asked the Biden administration and the groups challenging the policy to file a response to the states' request by Tuesday afternoon. 19 states, led by Arizona and Louisiana, filed an emergency request after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit last week rejected their request to intervene in the case in a bid to prevent the policy, known as Title 42, being wound down. Right, so they want Title 42 is what we're talking about. They want Title 42 to stick around. Getting rid of Title 42 will recklessly and needlessly endanger more Americans and migrants by exacerbating the catastrophe that is occurring at our southern border. Attorney General Mark Brnovich, I'm assuming, said in a statement. So what I find funny is these guys will talk about this like, oh, we need to like take this seriously, but like, they can't take COVID seriously. They can only take immigration seriously. It's the only thing they understand under these contexts, apparently. The states say Joe Biden's administration had, quote, abandoned meaningful defense of the rules, saying it effectively engineered, with the help of lawyers challenging the policy, a ruling that would end it. As a result, the states are seeking to intervene in order to keep it in place. The appeals court said in its order last week that the states had waited too long before attempting to intervene. In a separate case, the administration's previous effort to unwind the policy had been blocked by a federal judge. Title 42, named after a section of U.S. law, gives the federal government power to take emergency action to keep disease out of the country. Former President Donald Trump invoked it when the pandemic broke out, and it has remained in effect during the Biden administration. More than 2 million people have been expelled from the country as a result. So again, this is under the guise of COVID-19, which let's be clear, reducing, or what's the word, slowing, even stopping immigration for a small amount of time due to the pandemic, not actually a bad idea. The problem is that the states want to keep operating under that framework after the point in which it's necessary. Which is, again, hilarious, because these are conservatives who constantly say COVID-19 isn't a thing, who constantly say how COVID-19 isn't that serious, but still somehow find a use for keeping immigrants out. They're only concerned with COVID-19 if an immigrant has it. If an immigrant has it, COVID-19 is dangerous. It could endanger lives. If a regular American has it, then, COVID-19 is hardly an inconvenience, not even worth really talking about. So it's all doublespeak for the most part. Various civil rights groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, challenged the policy on behalf of people covered by it. Article, okay, yeah, pretty simple stuff. So our Supreme Court has been captured broadly by right-wing ideologues. Now, they do that through groups like the Federalist Society and a few other like they're not nonprofits. They're like private organizations that kind of push judges with certain opinions through the legal system, basically. And that's how we got Kavanaugh. That's how we got Barrett. That's how we got I believe also Gorsuch, most likely, and Clarence Thomas. Actually, I know that one off the top of my head. But yeah, and what we kind of need to worry about when it comes to the Supreme Court is these are lifetime appointments, meaning these people are not going to be out of office or out of their positions for quite a while. And because of that, we're going to see more of this stuff. We're going to see more of this, kind of more pro-conservative politics, and also more importantly, pro-business. The Federalist Society, as much as they are interested in originalism and as much as they are interested in conservative politics, they are nonetheless funded by the wealthy and by rich donors. That's who they're funded by. So when we talk about the politics that they're going to be pushing, they will be pushing a lot of, conservative culture war stuff or just conservative values in terms of immigration. But the thing you need to watch out for, and the thing that at the end of the day is going to screw everyone over, is pro-corporate positions, which all of them have all kind of signed on for, more or less. I think Kavanaugh ruled on like a decision that allowed where truck drivers were I believe it was like a truck driver, their life was in danger, and basically they refused to continue doing whatever route or whatever it was against the wishes of the company, and they sued the company for endangering them, and Kavanaugh sided with the company. Shocker. So we need to watch out for that stuff. But whenever anybody tells you, I want to, more than anything, I want to drive this point home. Whenever anybody tells you, people say, oh, people will sneer and really not be interested in the vote blue no matter who. I'm here to tell you, and I'm not going to gain points with this from some people, but vote blue because it's generally going to be the better option. As much as I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, as much as I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, or really any of the leadership of the Democratic Party, what you are going to get by abstaining from voting is not going to be more Bernie Sanders's, more Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's, more progressives, more of any of that. Abstinence from voting will get you right-wing judges who have lifetime appointments, who will make it harder in 10 years when we have more progressives in the House, more progressives in government, to actually pass a Medicare for all type bill. Any of those things. These are going to be the barriers that will last the longest amount of time. Mitch McConnell will only be here so long. Mitch McConnell can be beaten in an election if the right candidate is chosen. But abstinence from voting will get you nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, again, I know it's not fun also. I get that, like, people are like, I don't want to, like, vote for somebody I don't... Look, I get it. Like, I understand that. You're like, I don't like this person. I don't really want to vote for them. I don't want to feel like I'm inclined to. Or, I don't feel like I'm coerced. Well, I'm sorry. In certain situations, especially now with the right wing being as sussy as they've been the last couple of years, we're past the point where personal feelings, I think, should be getting in the way of this stuff. You should be not just voting for you, but voting for the broad movement at this point. We can have the conversation of values and everything else during the primaries. I got no problem with that. You fight like hell in the primaries. But when it's Democrat versus Republican, you got to hold the line to some degree. So those are the consequences, people. But, okay, so anyway, So. Have you guys heard that Elon Musk owns Twitter? I know. You're saying to yourself, when the fuck did this happen? Well, it happened, maybe like a month and some change ago? And in that month of time, since Elon Musk took control of Twitter, it has been a let me think how to choose my words. It has been a fucking disaster. It has not just been a fucking disaster. It has been a dumpster fire, a wholly uniquely bold fuck up on one individual's part. How Elon Musk has taken the probably number one communicative tool for basically the entire world and turned it into a pretty useless platform now that is constantly changing its policies, whose, like, you know, values, as much of a company can have values, swings like horribly from back and forth. As much as, like, you know, all of this has happened in like such a short amount of time. But what he's endeavored to do is gain the, what's the word? The admiration of the right. Now, has that worked? I think the jury's a bit, it's not looking good for Elon Musk. He's now gone to put up a poll asking if he should step down, which, I'm sorry, that's like the saddest thing I've ever heard. The idea that you spent $44 billion, leveraged some of your previous wealth to buy a company to then democratically, like, pretend to decide to keep owning that company, or at the very least keep running it after you said, you know, you'd be like the best person to run it. Like, this guy has been embarrassed to the point of no return. His KD is super low. Like, the dude's taking L's. And there's one more L. There's one more L he's about to take. Ben Shapiro, notable right-wing figure, doesn't, you know, based on the name of this video is "If You Can't Take the Heat, Get Out of the Kitchen." Now, I historically am not, I don't agree much with Ben Shapiro. Sometimes Ben lands on a good point, but most of the time he's on like a theocratic point that I can't get behind. But let's see, if he's lost Ben Shapiro, Elon's in some trouble. He's in some trouble.
Bought Twitter not all that long ago, and he's been a very hands-on owner. He's been formulating Twitter policy in real time, banning accounts, bringing back accounts, doing everything by Twitter poll. Over the weekend, Elon Musk put out a poll asking whether he should step down as the active head of Twitter. This doesn't mean he'll give up ownership.
Okay, so let's also be really clear. He had to do this like twice. He had to post this poll twice and still ended up with the get the fuck out result. Just test, you know, just feeling out the room here, and he got kind of a, yeah, you can excuse yourself. Oh, wait, what if I ask this a different way? Nope, still got yeeted.
Of Twitter, of course, but he put out a poll saying that he would pledge to abide by the results of the poll,
and has he done
asking
that?
Whether people should allow him to remain the CEO of Twitter. And then the poll results came in, and nearly 60% of people on Twitter were polled said that Musk should not remain the CEO of Twitter.
Now, let's remember, this is not a scientific poll. This is also, like, you know, from a scientific standpoint, and from, you know, as a leftist who likes to have real data and, you know, not, you know, bullshit that's easy to kind of mess with. This is not a scientific poll. This is also not a, you know, I don't think anybody should be taking this poll, especially Elon Musk, seriously in a real thoughtful manner. This is like thrown out there, and anybody can vote. Anybody can just make a new account, vote twice. There's no real way to, catch, to kind of, get a, this isn't scientific. This isn't real. But this is a vibe, and it's not a good vibe. It's not a good vibe when, you do the old, putting your hands up to the wind and you're not getting it the way you want it. So, not scientific, but also not great. Considering how many Musk stands there are, you would think they'd try harder to rig the results.
Now, here's the thing. I think Musk is smart enough to know what the result was going to be ahead of time. I really doubt that he thought that 60% of people were going to say yeah. So what this really looks more like is a transition plan. He wants to make it look like the people wanted him to step out of the way, and then he'll appoint somebody else to run Twitter. But this does speak to the way that Twitter is currently being run, which is very ad hoc. Again, I don't have a problem with that because I would rather that there be someone at the top of the food chain to blame as opposed to the way Twitter was being run. But
so, let's actually get it. So the Twitter files came out. We all saw them. They're pretty mid. What the Twitter files revealed is that in terms of enforcing their TOS, the way Twitter came to their decisions was multiple boards of people who do research, people who, are paid to understand sociological trends and understand, really the kind of, people who really fit into the parameters of trying to understand nuanced conversation between people and assess how much damage is actually being done and what is and what isn't, hate speech, which is super gray area. Now, conservatives would have had you believe that it was Jack Dorsey, that it was, I don't know, the conservatives have been whining, quite frankly, for years that Twitter was biased against conservatives and that Twitter was making its decisions authoritarian in an authoritarian fashion, top down. When in actuality, the decisions as to how to enforce TOS was done by a board of multiple people making arguments for or against the not just deplatforming, but the suppression of one's reach on Twitter. So we're talking about, quite frankly, enforcing TOS is always going to be incredibly difficult. And honestly, from everything I read, and you can say whatever you want about me, but for everything that I read, honestly, they're enforcing the TOS about as best as you can expect, if I'm being honest. Now, that doesn't take into the account, I'm not counting towards that, the obvious ways that they shirked their TOS, in which case you have pages, the specific one that they used in their examples, so I have no problem saying it, is Chaya Raichik's Libs of TikTok account, which is a hate account that doxes people, that Twitter protected. The higher-ups of Twitter protected her account from bans and from suspensions. So, and from facing being enforced upon the same way any normal Twitter user would. So when we're talking, when conservatives say that, Twitter had some anti-conservative value, they're just lying. They're I don't know if this is, I don't think this is breaking the mold here, but they were just lying about that. Twitter was protecting conservative accounts. That's what they were doing. They were limiting those accounts' reach to a degree, but they were not treating them equally as they would some other accounts. So keep that in mind. And Ben here, I'm really glad Ben is staying consistent in his authoritarian values, that he would prefer just one overlord, one leader, one person that swings the gavel. You know, he already said that the enforcement and everything else was very ad hoc, which is true. It is, because there is no team left. There is now the people who get banned because Elon says so. That's what their TOS has turned into, which is a fucking joke. Like, we all understand it's a fucking joke, but like that's what it's turned into. Which is the result when you have one person at the top. It's kind of, when you have kings, they just kind of, the laws just kind of exist sometimes and don't other times. You would think Ben would understand this.
This does throw the entire social media system into at least some chaos because nobody actually knows what's coming next. I have no information suggesting that Elon Musk actually knows who would replace him as CEO of Twitter. It's not like he has somebody waiting in the wings, and this is all a setup. This is all seat of the pants kind of stuff, which makes it, on the one hand, fun, and on the other hand, slightly terrifying for
Also, I just want to say, the only actual solution is selling Twitter to its employees, letting them collectively own and run Twitter democratically. That's the actual thing that should be happening. If Elon Musk believes in democracy, believes in all this stuff, he'd hand it over to his workers who actually do the real work. Which is also why Twitter's kind of a dumpster fire right now, because there's no engineers there to fix any of the glaring issues.
For those who actually are trying to figure out what standards Twitter is attempting to apply here. According to the Wall Street Journal,
There aren't.
a majority of Twitter users said Elon Musk should step down as chief of the company and uphold the billionaire pledge to follow, casting new uncertainty on the social media platform after more than 7 weeks of turmoil since he took it over.
Holy shit. Was I right? So, yeah, because what did I say? Like a month and some change? That's less than 2 months. That technically counts. Woo! I was right. 7 weeks, guys. 7 weeks. This guy's been in charge. 7 weeks, and he's already asking people, "Hey, should I leave? Should maybe I'm not so good at this. Maybe somebody else should be better. I just, if everyone thinks I should leave, maybe I should leave."
More than 17 million users had voted by the time the poll on the platform closed after 6 a.m. Eastern Time, with 57.5% saying he should leave as the head of the company he bought in October for $44 billion.
Jesus.
Musk had said when he launched the Twitter poll
Also
on Sunday,
overpaid.
he would abide by the results. It's not clear who would be taking over Twitter Inc. if Musk steps aside or what his role would remain, given that he still owns the company. Most of the company's prior leadership was either fired or left after he took over. And by the way, it's not going to be a great job. For all those people who are clamoring and saying out there, "Oh, I could do it." Well, Musk is just going to fire you after 2 weeks because all that will mean is that he stands sort of behind whoever the Twitter CEO is. Musk tweeted, quote, "No one wants the job who can actually keep Twitter alive. There is no successor." Now, one of the reasons why Musk is doing this is because his other companies like SpaceX and Tesla have been suffering on the stock market. Shares in Tesla have fallen more than 57% this year, frustrating some retail investors who partly blame Musk's focus on Twitter for the decline. And this is not unusual. Anytime the market perceives Musk as a volatile figure, his stock drops. And then it always comes back. This happened with Tesla when Musk went on Joe Rogan's show and he smoked pot. And for a moment there, it looked like the Tesla stock was going to be in rough shape. And then, of course, Tesla pulled out of the tailspin and soon it was doing fine.
Mainly because smoking weed isn't like detrimental to the economy also. Understand, the stock market is all just public gambling. Understand that. It's just public gambling.
Tesla shares were jumping pre-market Monday amid the suggestion that Musk would stop running Twitter and return his attention back to the engineering company that he founded. There have been questions since Musk first showed interest in buying Twitter, how he would jump.
Did he found? He did not found. Elon Musk did not start Tesla. Elon Musk bought into Tesla. Those are not the same thing, Ben. Those are not the same thing. Me buying in after I've seen everything and after there's been some breakthrough, or, when there's a bidding war from other investors, that's not founding. That's just buying into the company after it's been proven. Founding would be like the original engineers, the original programmers. I love the way conservatives conceptualize like the the ownership over technology. This is also, I briefly talked about this with the nuclear fusion breakthrough that we had recently. A big thing that we need as a, quite frankly, as a species, is to ensure that private interests do not seize upon this technology, and that it is there for the common good, not for the profits of a incredibly small minority of people who just would like to outright buy the technology and not develop it themselves. The workers, the people, are the ones who deserve to benefit the most from the technology they've created.
Juggle running that company while also pursuing all of his other endeavors. Bill Nelson, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's administrator, this month said he had asked SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell if Twitter would divert from the rocket company's mission. She assured me it would not be a distraction. Musk said last month that he had too much work on his plate. Now, again, it's been a pretty chaotic couple of months under Musk. Much of what he has done has been excellent. So, for example, the breaking of new Twitter files demonstrating what exactly...
we're gonna do this. We're gonna lie about the Twitter files. Lovely. I kind of had a feeling he'd end up doing this. So you remember what I said about the Twitter files? Let's hear the made up version of it. Let's hear like the fictional. Like let's hear the X-Files version.
Twitter was doing to shut down free speech before Musk took over. Musk had said that he was essentially a free speech libertarian when he took over. And then he's sort of activated, as I say, an ad hoc policy where he bans people and then he brings them back based on Twitter polls where the standards are not entirely clear. And what's funny to me about that...
Wait, but the standards are clear. We kind of... Part of the Twitter files was that the standards were clear. That doesn't mean the standards are like rock solid or unmalleable. There was an entire debate internally in Twitter whether to ban Donald Trump. Like this wasn't a decision made by Dorsey or by I already forget homeboy's name, but this was a like constant back and forth with their enforcement team, like trying to figure out what the balance was. Like you can't whatever.
That is that the entire media are caterwauling about this. They're screaming to the heavens, screaming to God about why exactly the standards are so opaque and changeable. It's like, welcome to the party, pal. It's been like this for the last 10 years. The only difference is this time you guys are sometimes getting clocked.
Whoa. A board of people coming to a decision through debate and through understanding an argument around the TOS. There was an entire team. That was their job, was to talk about these things and come up with a consistent reading of them. Like they had a structure, and like what's funny is Ben is trying very poorly to make a team of people whose job it is to discern and to deliberate about TOS and the enforcement of that TOS is the same. He is trying to equalize that as the same as simply being up to whoever the fuck just bought the company 7 weeks ago. Which, you know, maybe I'm crazy, but I would rather have like 12. I would rather have 3 people who mildly disagree go into a room and like argue about why this or that account should be suspended or banned, then just have it be one guy. They always want to pretend like it's always been one guy. It's never been one guy, and the gavel's never swung this absurdly and this meaninglessly till Musk took over. Like, what is this?
But the real thing that Musk has done here is, of course, revealed what was going on at Twitter during the Trump era. We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, a hard year on the...
Excuse you. Wait.
The economy means that essential practical gifts will be in high demand this year. Also, delicious gifts for the whole family.
What is...
When you give a box of Good Ranchers...
No. Why does everyone here... Okay, so this guy definitely, like, works... This guy's like the demonstrator. He like rolled over with his fucking grill to fucking Gumby looking ass over here and was like, yes, you see, there is this cooking equipment. It is called a grill. And he was like, ah, yes, a grill, a grill. You see, you put meats on it, and it smokes them, and you know, you get seared edges due to the grill lines. Fucking then, okay, I'll admit the dude in the middle looks like he looks like he's seen a grill before. Ben looks like he just saw a magic trick that he kind of understands, but at the same time isn't 100% sure. He wants to believe that he doesn't have the answer, but he thinks he has the answer. What is this?
You're giving them a true steakhouse experience with 100% American USDA prime and upper choice cuts of beef, chicken, and seafood. Other meat delivery companies, even your local grocery stores, import lower quality meat from overseas. Don't give your friends and family less than American. Delicious. They got it for me. They grilled it up, got me a kosher steak, and it is absolutely...
Wait. No way. No, stop it. No, you're not eating that directly out of the fucking packaging, are you? Stop. Wait. Okay, wait a minute. No fucking chance. 0.75.
They actually got me a kosher steak, and it is...
Dude, that... Okay. Ben Shapiro, in an effort to prove to us his manhood, his big, strong meat manhood, is eating his fucking steak out of the goddamn deli tray that you buy it from. Oh my god, that's disgusting. There's like what? Ben,
absolutely
Ben,
delicious.
Ben,
they got it for me. They grilled it up for me. I can tell you, it was mouth watering. Good Ranchers.
Okay, we're done. Okay. We're gonna have to dwell on this anymore. Okay, we're moving on. Okay. No more talk about mouth watering.
And so over the weekend also, Matt Taibbi was a guest on this program last week.
Matt Taibbi,
former Rolling Stone journalist. He revealed how much contact was had between the higher-ups at Twitter and the FBI. And this should scare everybody. When the FBI is contacting social media companies and telling them what to put up and what to take down and all the rest of it, predicated not on...
we already saw in the files they had meetings. They didn't tell them. They just... They were informing them of the breakage of their TOS and seeking the enforcement of their own terms of service. The FBI was not coming in with a warrant signed by a fucking judge and saying you need to ban like libtard 01 and cuckservative 889 or whatever. That's not what was happening. They had meetings with the FBI because the FBI was at the time investigating the conspiracy rhetoric being talked about openly on Twitter, along with just the sussy nature of people on Twitter. If the FBI came to Twitter to be like, hey, you've got CP on there, that would also be Twitter working with the FBI. Like, okay.
And typical sort of law enforcement procedures, not based on warrants, not based on investigations, but based on simply the FBI's sense that they don't want something up. That's pretty scary stuff. Taibbi posted
not really.
Late on Friday afternoon. The Twitter files are revealed.
Like, private citizens, you're allowed. Like, understand, if you're a normal person, you can lobby Twitter, Facebook, any of these social networks to have content pertaining to you personally taken down. Managers do this all the time. Like anybody with any... Ben Shapiro probably does this. The Daily Wire most likely does this on behalf of Ben Shapiro. They email Twitter and go, hey, can you take down this person who posted like Holocaust shit but with Ben in it or something. Like this isn't abnormal at all. This is perfectly normal stuff. Is not weird.
Feeling more every day about how the government collects, analyzes, and flags your social media content. Twitter's content with the FBI, contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive, as if it were a subsidiary. Between January 2020 and November 2022, there were over 150 emails between the FBI and former Twitter trust and safety chief Yoel Roth. Some are mundane, like San Francisco agent Elvis Chen wishing Roth a happy new year, along with a reminder to attend our quarterly call next week. Others are requests for information into Twitter users.
Jeez, imagine thinking please remember to attend our quarterly call. Like, imagine thinking that's the big conspiracy. This is the dangerous environment to which Twitter is being infringed upon.
Related to active investigations. But a surprisingly high number are requests by the FBI for Twitter to take action on election misinformation, even involving joke tweets from low follower accounts. The FBI's social media focused task force, known as FTIF, created in the wake of the 2016 election, swelled to 80 agents and corresponded with Twitter to identify alleged foreign influence and election tampering of all kinds. Federal intelligence and law enforcement reach into Twitter included the Department of Homeland Security, which partnered with security contractors and think tanks to pressure Twitter to moderate content. Matt Taibbi.
So, besides kind of just pretending like any of that's controversial, like, understand what they're talking about is simply the FBI, because again, it's a public platform, keeping an eye on Twitter users that they've flagged for sussy behavior and reporting that sussy behavior to Twitter, because the FBI can't yeet them off Twitter's platform. Only Twitter can do that. I don't get what the conspiracy is here. This is rather mundane. You would kind of expect this sort of thing, right? Like, this is rather normal, yeah? Like, there's nothing controversial
He reports it's no secret the government analyzes bulk data for all sorts of purposes. But the Twitter files show something new. Agencies like the FBI and DHS regularly sending social media content to Twitter through multiple entry points pre-flagged for moderation. What stands out is the sheer quantity of reports from the government. Some are aggregated from public hotlines. There's an unanswered question. Do agencies like the FBI and DHS do in-house flagging work themselves, or are they farming it out? One former intelligence officer said, "You have to prove to me that inside the effing government you can do any kind of massive data or AI search." Taibbi said,
"Is that inconceivable? Is it inconceivable that the federal government, the FBI, doesn't have the ability to quickly thumb through a lot of data? Is that shocking? I feel like that's I'd be kind of disappointed if our government did not already like have the ability to do that. Like, what? Sorry, I'm just reading something. Huh. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. Anyway.
Says there was a master canine quality to the FBI's relationship to Twitter. There's a November 2022 email, for example, in which the FBI San Francisco notified Twitter it wanted action on 4 specific accounts.
Wanted.
Twitter personnel in that case.
Understand, none of this is enforced by law. Let's be really clear. Not once in the Twitter files was there any what's the word? Threat of legal or regulatory action. This was all just them bringing cases of breakage of TOS to Twitter's attention. Because again, even Twitter can't police everything on Twitter. Like, that's not a thing you can do. You have to have algorithms. You have to have programs to look and flag certain things.
Look for reasons to suspend all 4 accounts. Just to show that the FBI can be hyper-intrusive in both directions, they also asked Twitter to review a blue-leaning account for a different joke, except here it was more obvious that the person who kids a lot was actually kidding. Pretty much all of the right-wing accounts ended up being suspended by Twitter
being weird. Sorry.
At the behest of the FBI. Now, this, of course, is pretty scary stuff.
Is it,
you don't really want the FBI coordinating with the social media companies to determine what should be taken down, what should be left up.
Really? You don't think there's some value to the FBI and other investigatory apparatuses to, I didn't even say pre, to investigate people on public platforms and then bring their findings to the platform holder? That's weird. How is that weird? Okay.
Many of the accounts that the FBI was targeting were satirical in nature. Many of them were relatively low engagement, and some were suspended, most with a generic thanks Twitter letter. When told of the FBI flagging, one of the people suspended said, my thoughts initially were, seems like prima facie a First Amendment violation. Holy cow. Me, an account with the reach of an Amoeba 3, what else are they looking at?
It's not.
I can't believe the FBI is policing jokes on Twitter. That's crazy, said one of the users.
Whoa.
But that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah, if you're like spreading misinformation through. Also, understand that everyone does the like, it was just a joke, bro, meme whenever they do anything sussy. That is the like lowest common denominator, like dumbass internet like troll response when they get caught and clapped up doing anything or being sussy or anything else. They just do like the, oh well, you know, it was all just a meme, I was just joking, that's all. Sheesh, do I take it so seriously? It's like, well, like you can say you're joking. They'll do like obviously the election was stolen, and then they'll be like, oh, it's just a joke, bro. And it's like, well, you've said it in every tweet for the last 6 months, so I'm not 100% sure you're really joking there. I think you're just stating that as like a fact.
And this is one of the reasons why it was important.
Also, guess what? It's not an infringement on your freedom of speech because Twitter's a private platform. Twitter can simply say no to the FBI. I know. It seems crazy. They could there most likely were cases where they went, this doesn't really align with our TOS. Banning them or suspending them wouldn't really align well. No, we're not going to spin that account. But there are others that if you're posting CP, if you're doxing people, then FBI would be accurate in suggesting, hey, you should maybe enforce your TOS, just kind of an idea. Like, this isn't controversial, Ben. I don't like
important.
It's like Ben's never heard of like enforcement of almost anything. Like, yeah, you like, yeah, this is like the police will do this in certain instances.
For Musk to take over because Musk is revealing all of the bad activity of the government.
I shouldn't say the police, but
with Twitter,
it's just not controversial. It's just not
controversial.
At
the same time, as I say, Musk's running of Twitter has been extraordinarily ad hoc. I've used that phrase a bunch of times. He's just doing it sort of seat of the pants. So, for example, he suspended.
What? Oh man, Ben hitting it out the park. Everything by the seat of the pants.
Taylor Lorenz.
Has Ben ever like interacted with like a normal person? Who the fuck says? Okay, we're moving on.
Taylor Lorenz is just a garbage pseudo reporter over at the Washington Post. She spends all day just irritating people on social media and then tracking down her enemies on social media. And in the case of libs of TikTok, actually doxing people on social media. Well, she was actually briefly suspended from Twitter over the weekend. She acted as though she had been shipped to the gulags under Stalin or something.
Wait a second. Ben. You can't in one video, you cannot make the argument that you getting yeeted off of Twitter or suspended from Twitter because you were posting some sussy anti-election, anti-democratic bullshit. You cannot say that that is a possible infringement on your free speech and then turn around and when a journalist is suspended or banned or whatever the fuck she was for a amount of time and they had a problem with it, turn around and say, oh, are you crying? Oh, did you go to a Russian? Did you get killed and go to the gulag where you had to team up with another random player and have to defend both you and that other player because they're not very good at defending themselves? And now that they went down, now you have to fight 2v1. And if you can get out, then maybe you can get out of the gulag and maybe make it to the circle before the next round. I don't know. Maybe you're just whining. Like, you can't do that, dude. No. Stop it, Ben. You're being inconsistent. Ben. I don't like it. I don't appreciate that coming from family, all right? I don't appreciate it. Get it together, Ben. If it was an infringement on one's rights, it was an infringement on the other, or it's neither, which it is neither. Taylor Lorenz can go cry in a corner, because guess what? It's a private platform. I don't agree with the decision. Like, banning journalists is not, is not in line with the values of freedom of speech, especially the way it's written in the United States Constitution, but it's a private platform. It's Elon Musk's private platform. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. But don't sit here and pretend that before Elon took it over and someone got banned, it was an infringement on speech. But after he took it over, it's not an infringement of speech. Please, fucking spare me.
Social media talking about her tremendously difficult period of Twitter expulsion.
Was it really? What
in pretty short order.
Can I see the tweets?
But
I would love to see. Can I see the anything?
Yeah, she came back online, by the way, and then she was sharing memes and all this, but she was suspended because of doxing of libs of TikTok. Now, that's not a good standard. I think Taylor Lorenz is garbage, and I think there are many times where she does things that ought to get her suspended or expelled from Twitter, including doxing people like libs of TikTok. However,
wait, doxing? You mean Chaya Raichik? Am I going to get doxed for? Am I doxing Chaya Raichik for saying her name? That's okay. You can ban me off Twitter. I don't use Twitter enough to matter.
Taylor Lorenz, you can't retroactively decide to suspend people. You can't decide 2 years later because Taylor Lorenz did something to libs of TikTok that now she ought to be suspended, because otherwise there's no standard at all. I will say it was pretty funny. Taylor Lorenz found out she'd been suspended. She obviously was pretty happy about it. And then she ended up dropping off of her own Instagram feed. She had an Instagram feed in which she was announcing, or her TikTok feed in which she was announcing this. And all of the comments on the TikTok feed were about how much people hated Taylor Lorenz. She ended up running away. Here's what it sounded like.
Geez, some people sent her hate messages. So she was like, I guess I just won't bother with this, because getting hate messages for an entire day is just not really mentally healthy. Jeez, what a snowflake. Ask Ben about the Holocaust and see how quickly he shrivels. Like, yeah, it's okay.
Oh my God, this is just a bunch of Elon fans.
It is. Is this Taylor Lorenz? I have no idea what she looked like.
Oh, Air Space Museum. Hi. Guys, I did have only 3 tweets. True. Because my tweets auto delete, and they have since 2014. Anyway, I do have to go.
I love how someone's like, cry more while she's
and it was so fun to get to chat with you.
So,
wow, that person seemed really deeply affected by their Twitter ban. Man, Ben, you really got him there.
See you later, Taylor. We'll catch you later. But okay, Taylor Lorenz ended up being reinstated. Here's the bottom line. Bottom line is this. Whoever is going to come in for Musk, because now he's pledged that he's going to step aside and he's going to put in some sort of new CEO. Here is the standard that ought to be applied. The standard that ought to be applied is a pure First Amendment free speech standard. That's what ought to happen. And then all other standards ought to be made transparent. If you're going to downgrade tweets that are First Amendment protected, but you don't want getting wide dissemination, you should have a transparent process whereby people can quickly see why the thing is being downgraded. I will say that Musk has been radically transparent. Even though he is doing things, seat of the pants, he's being very transparent about why he is doing things and how he is doing things. And the answer is he's doing it because he feels like it. Whoever comes in next should.
Wait, that's not transparency, Ben. That's not transparency, Benjamin. Because I feel like it is not transparency. When somebody says, I did a thing because I felt like it, that's usually an indication that they don't actually want you to explain why they did something. Like, we all understand that, right? Like that's all that is you just being like, oh, I really don't feel like explaining this one, so I'll just chalk it up to I felt like a deal with it, nerd. Like, that's not transparency at all. Like, actually, I want to hear these again, because I admittedly, my brain was kind of not paying attention. What
that ought to be applied.
Okay,
the standard that ought to be applied is a pure First Amendment free speech standard.
Okay, cool. Which does not apply to private institutions or private platforms, but okay. Let's take the private part out of it. Okay.
That's what ought to happen. And then all other standards ought to be made transparent. If you're going to downgrade tweets that are First Amendment protected, but you don't want getting wide dissemination,
sure,
you should have a transparent process whereby people can quickly see why the thing is being downgraded. I will.
Okay. And then what? Then you have to have a debate as to why certain things, like, understand. Let's be really clear here. What Ben wants at the end of the day is non-enforcement or a non-existent terms of service. That's what Ben at the end of the day wants. But let's take him at face value and let's go with, so Ben wants a open explanation. Probably this would be somehow in the form of like a tag. Maybe, I don't know if this is possible, but maybe, if you're spreading election fraud conspiracies, maybe there's like a little tag that goes like under your tweet or maybe over your tweet, or maybe there's like a little badge that you get, a little dunce cap or something that like tells you, hey, this person is kind of known for lying, and this specific tweet is missing a lot of context and a lot of facts. It's not. You should probably look into this a little bit more before you buy into this tweet. There's just a little bit of information that you're missing here on this one, and this person might not know that, but it's just the viewer beware. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's a technology that Twitter can innovate. Maybe I've never seen it before. I've never seen something like this before. So maybe I just thought of it. Elon, you owe me like, I'll make it easy on you. You owe me like $20 million. That's all I'll take for coming up with this groundbreaking idea here. So, that's all. 20 mil. I'll settle for 20 mil.
I will say that Musk has been radically transparent, even though he is doing things seat of the pants. He's being very transparent about why he is doing things and how he is doing things. And the answer is he's doing because he feels like it.
It's by the seat of his pants. Ben, have you never heard this phrase before? Why do you keep saying by the seat of the pants? The seat doesn't have pants. Right? Okay.
Whoever comes in next should continue that policy of radical transparency, but should take a very strict First Amendment standard with regard to Twitter in the United States.
Wait. First of all, Twitter files, not transparent. They're curated files. None of the journalists were given free range over all of the files of Twitter or any of this stuff. They were curated by Musk and his team. Make that clear.
Problems for international companies like Twitter is that the free speech standards in the United States are not the free speech standards that apply in, say, France or Britain, where actual quote-unquote hate speech can be prosecuted. They don't have the same First Amendment standards over in Europe. So the best that Twitter probably can do, realistically speaking,
I swear to God, if he fucking says come up with a standard, if he better not fucking say come up with a universal standard that's applicable to all laws around, to the most amount of laws around the world to fit most circumstances. Because God damn it, if he says TOS in that long form, I'm going to fucking throw something. Don't you fucking do it, Ben.
Speaking is promulgate standards that are allowed by various governments in various parts of the West. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be taking your call.
Damn it. We already had a solution. It was called terms of service. There was a whole team called enforcement or whatever, or harassment maybe. I don't remember what the team is called, but there was like a team of people whose job it was to assess this shit. Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus wept. I can't believe it. Dude. This is... Ben. Cousin. Come on. We gotta do better than this. Oh, God. I can't believe it. My enormous fucking brain inside of the Santa Claus hat. I can't believe it. Still can't. I did not pre-watch. Fucking A. Of course he said have a TOS and enforce it. Of course he did. Because these idiots have like no idea that the solutions to the problems, we've already found them. You all just don't like them because you all always break them. That's the only reason. Jesus. Okay. Ay. What time is it? Okay, 8:25. We got about an hour and a half left. Okay. I'm thinking. I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna do. We're gonna save. I'll save a few of these. I keep pushing back one. No, okay, we're gonna do one of these, but not both of them. Okay. We're not gonna do. We'll do the intercept tomorrow. Yes, we'll do the intercept tomorrow, shall we? Okay. So, I Sorry, one second. One moment. Oh. Gun culture in America is brain broken. I don't really think that's a controversial statement. The gun culture in the US is not just brain broken, it's incredibly cringe. It's also captured by private interests. And we could talk about that. And, I think we all kind of understand to a degree, like, yes, weapons manufacturers, specifically, not domestic, what's the word? Commercial. That's what I'm thinking. Commercial gun manufacturers love American gun culture for a couple reasons. One, it's incredibly easy to sell a lot of weapons to a population that has been told to fear their neighbors. That's one. Two, actually, that might be the only thing. That might literally just be it. Although, while I'm sure that, many people who work for gun manufacturers are right wing and just like the propagation of firearms and weapons and freedom and stuff. Actually, I said two, and I actually don't even think I really need to. That's pretty much the relationship that we have in this country. Gun manufacturers who want to sell more guns. They want to make more. They want to sell more to normal people, to normal small populations. Makes them a lot of money. And the way that happens, the way that you encourage Americans to continue to buy guns is in one of two ways. One, you market to them through kind of a hobbyist's lens. So, if you go hunting, there is a market for hunting rifles and hunting equipment and what else? Or if you like going to the range, if you're somebody who really likes you enjoy the sport of shooting, you market to that group. If you like going to the range, trying to get your accuracy like you would anything else, you go out, you play basketball, you shoot a bunch of hoops until you get really good and get that muscle memory to shoot well. And it's going to be the same for firearms. The second way, I subscribe a lot more, honestly. Probably it's like a 90-10 split, maybe like an 85-15. The other lens that these companies sell weapons through is home defense, is the defense of oneself, whether it be home defense, whether it be public defense, whether it be, I guess, private defense. I probably didn't need the third one again. But the other way that you'll see marketing for firearms is usually going to be centered around your own personal protection. There is an entire market, an entire industry based on home defense weapons and the argument that it is responsible and it is good to not just own firearms, but own specific firearms to defend your home from whatever it is that might be happening in your neighborhood. A lot of this is seized upon by politicians due to crime rates that are a result of systemic inequality and homelessness, along with the way that we criminalize Americans in this country, and the consequences of being labeled as a criminal. If you're a criminal, you cannot. It is incredibly difficult to get well-paying jobs, which pushes you pretty much just into more criminality. It's the only thing you really have left, right? Like, there's not, you could be a McDonald's worker and make $9 an hour or whatever the fuck, or you can be a drug dealer and make much more than that. The risk is high, but you've already been to jail once. How high could the risk be at this point? And being part of, a functioning part of society is not something that we prioritize in our justice system. So I want to kind of take a look at an article from Politico. It's called "What the Debate Over Guns Tell Us About America." And, I'm not sure. It seems like this person's not from the U.S. Oh, I guess they are. Apparently, Sarah Cashin, professor of law at Georgetown. So they are, which weirdly, I don't know why they framed it like this, but whatever. Not all writers write their headlines. But I kind of want to take a look at this because the gun debate's always interesting to me. And at the end of the day, we do have a toxic gun culture here that isn't mirrored in a lot of other states, in a lot of other countries, I should say. So let's take a look. Whoa, excuse you, Politico. A grim anniversary is upon us. On the morning of December 14th, 2012, a troubled 20-year-old male shot and killed his mother, then proceeded to Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. Among his arsenal, he wielded a Bushmaster AR-15, a semi-automatic assault weapon that is shockingly easy to purchase in America in less than 5 minutes. Purchased in America. In less than 5 minutes, he killed 6 adults and 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7. I remember thinking at the time that if ever there were an event that would alter Washington's normal politics of what is this word? Capitulation. I almost got me there. To the gun lobby, this was it. Instead, only 40 senators voted on the following year to reinstate an expired national assault weapons ban, while several Democrats from swing states voted against it. Christ above. In the ensuing decade, the barriers to gun access have come down precipitously. Half of U.S. states now allow open carry of firearms without a permit. They do that in Colorado. Last summer, in the wake of mass murder, I'm assuming they meant to put a mass murder of 19 students and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, a racist killing of 10 black Americans at the supermarket in East Buffalo, New York, President Biden and Congress broke through the nearly 3 decades of inaction on gun reform to enact bipartisan gun legislation, which I think I did a video on this. Didn't really do very much. It's fine, but nowhere was this what we needed, and nowhere would I say that the actual bill pass was impressive. It was pretty. It was honestly minimum effort to say the least. Let's see. The Uvalde and Buffalo shooters had also used an AR-15 style weapon, as had high body count mass killers at a country music festival in a Las Vegas hotel. At a Las Vegas hotel, the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, a Walmart in El Paso, and other venues to which America's mass death lottery came. But the new law did not include a ban on access to such firepower. Instead, it enhanced background checks for gun purchases under the age of 21. Because I guess people over 21 you're over 21, you just don't do mass shootings, I guess. Encourages states to implement so-called red flags laws, encourages, does not force, and enable temporary confiscation of guns from people deemed too dangerous to have them, and strengthens laws against straw purchasing and trafficking of guns. So there's kind of 2 conversations we need to have here. The first one is around mass shootings. Mass shootings are not the majority of gun deaths in this country. They are Let's be clear. They are the most publicized, and they are, I think they're the largest beacon for in terms of having that conversation about guns, and also kind of revealing the troubled system that we have. And by that I mean, most of the time when people do mass shootings, generally this is what happens. They go to a store. They go to a store. They walk up to the counter. They're kind of looking at stuff. Maybe they know what they want already. They point to it. They say, "I'd like that right there." They go, "All right, is there anything else you'd like?" They go, "All right, well, I need to buy some ammo." They're like, "All right, here's some ammo." Then they set all that stuff aside. They set down the firearm. They set the ammo down. Any accessories that they might buy, who knows? They go, "Okay, now need to go have you do a background check." At least for me, what that entailed was filling out. I've done it two different ways. One was by a computer, where pretty much it's like one of those auto, you fill in a few lines of information and it auto fills the rest of the document that then gets forwarded to the governing body that looks into that sort of stuff, that actually runs your background check. That's one way. My background check was done. Let's see. I sat down. I filled it out. I stood up. I walked back to the counter, and the guy says to me, "All right, looks like your background check passed." To which I was like, "That seems a bit fast. I'm not sure about that. That seems awfully quick." And there has been stories of gun shops, of sellers not really waiting for the full check to clear. They'll generally be like, "All right, if we need to do anything, we have their information. Not really a big deal. Let's move this along," which is a problem. But let's assume everything is on the up and up. I've never committed a crime, which I haven't. I passed my background check. By the time I walk back to the counter, they've already, they're already like, "All right, you're done. You're all set. Here you go. Here's your box with your AR-15 or whatever the fuck. Here's your boxes of ammo. Do you need a carrying bag or something? We can sell you a carrying bag." You go, "No," or maybe yes. Swipe your card, sign your receipt, you're out the door. You can be done buying a gun, buying an AR-15. This isn't every state, but in America, you can be done within 30 minutes. Within less than an hour, you can be done, purchased, out of there, onto wherever you're going to take that weapon. Now, that is too lenient. I think any reasonable person would say that's too lenient. You cannot operate a vehicle in this country without hours upon hours of verified driving, of test taking, of two different forms. But to buy a firearm and buy ammo for said firearm with no restriction on quantity, by the way, there is almost no barrier. And those are by far the vast majority of guns used in mass shootings. And it is why politically we focus on mass shootings, because they reveal very obviously and very quickly the failings of our systems. Now, I said earlier, mass shootings are not the largest committive event when it comes to gun violence. Suicide is the largest reason for high gun deaths in America. Now, the reason why suicide by gun specifically, aren't really talked about politically is mainly because when people are at that point of suicidal ideation, a gun is only a tool for that desire, I suppose. Guns in that case aren't nearly as relevant to the conversation, I don't think. Mainly because there are unfortunately any number of ways people can commit that act. Guns are just the most efficient way. Not to say that I think that it's not important to talk about, but it's the reason why we focus on mass shootings, because it's just the most it is the most visible in terms of the problems with owning firearms. A way you could solve this, a way you could solve one, maybe not solve both problems, but a way that you can address both problems in a way is waiting periods, is mental checks on people, is stronger requirements in terms of ownership and safety safety regulations, because also we don't have safety regulations in this country, meaning a lot of times, and you've probably heard of this before, where people who are irresponsible leave their firearms around, their kids get a hold of them, and their kids end up shooting somebody or themselves. And because of stuff like that, it's why we need more safety regulations around firearms. So, the conversation around guns tends to always focus on mass shootings because they reveal the biggest flaws in our system. And I think, the way we talk about them is also very important, because a lot of times people frame the gun debate around defense, around personal freedom, and all the rest of this stuff. At the end of the day, you should have the personal freedom to be able to get in your vehicle and drive to the grocery store and drive back without having people who are irresponsibly allowed onto the road. And I think the same can be said about when it comes to firearms. I think you have the right to leave your home and not be worried about people wielding deadly weapons constantly around you. That is something I think we all kind of have a right to not be put in unnecessary danger. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent. I just want to make that clear. AR-15. Okay, this is unrelated, but man, y'all need to do something other than AR-15s. AR-15s are, I understand they're on the cheaper side and shit, but come on now. Can we get away from just AR-15s? But the new law did not include ban. Okay. Let's see. But the new ban such as there we go. But the new law did not include a ban on access to such firepower. Instead, it enhanced background. I read this already. Right here we go. Unfortunately, background checks and red flag laws are easy to evade in a nation in which 19 states and nearly 900 counties have adopted some form of Second Amendment sanctuary law or resolution. These are basically, quite frankly, these are local municipalities just making up their own gun laws for their own little town, which we can't have. Sorry, no, that's not how this works. The end result of this movement is that in 61% of the U.S. counties, existing federal and state gun laws are unlikely to be enforced. Despite strong... I'm not going to read that one. Despite strong popular support for an assault weapons ban, mass shootings continue unabated in America, with more than 600 occurring thus far in 2022. Our current moment of inability to stop obscene, senseless gun violence and the increasingly deep division between states that want and enforce restrictions on guns and those that don't and won't is reminiscent of the early period in the nation's history, the 1850s. So let's be clear. All these counties having their own little pro Second Amendment laws puts all the other counties in danger, which is why I say that, like, we can't have this kind of some states say it's okay, some states say it's not okay. We can't have this. Like, a lot of times people bring up Chicago and the problem with the proliferation and the constant kind of gun presence in Chicago. A big part of that is because in Chicago, there are a lot of the guns come in from neighboring states. And a lot of guns end up coming into the hands of people because others didn't safely protect their guns and got them stolen, or whatever ends up happening. But a lot of those guns that get used in Chicago are not going to be legal guns. They're going to be illegal ones, or guns purchased in another state, in like Ohio or whatever other states are around that area. And because of those states' lax gun laws, the blowback to that, the people who pay for that sort of free access to weapons and firearms, is people of Chicago, as a good example. So, like, at the end of the day, we're all one country, so the laws in those cases in terms of safety need to be pretty universal around the board. So, just to kind of... The parallels, though rough, are telling. In the 1850s, opposition to slavery accelerated in the North, but the original structural accommodations to slavery produced a stalemate, and politicians were not able to curtail it. Then as now, there was a growing disconnect between the polity and politics. We should think long and hard about where that could lead us. Many Americans assumed that the antebellum debate over slavery was a moral one, but in her expansive history of abolition, scholar Manisha Sinha shows that abolitionists' moral arguments were never enough to end slavery. Instead, in the 1850s, much abolitionist argument turned from the realm of religion or moral and political philosophy to constitutional interpretation. I mean, that is kind of what you have to do. You can only argue for the morals at the point. I mean, at the end of the day, people who owned slaves weren't really concerned about morals at any point in their lives. But constitutional arguments, too, was unable to advance abolition because the Supreme Court upheld the founders' original compromise to slavery. For example, the court enforced the Constitution's fugitive slave clause against northern states that tried to protect free and escaped blacks from enslavers. And in the Dred Scott case, the court excluded black people from the U.S. citizenship and tried to settle the question of slavery for all time, denying Congress the power to stop its expansion to western and northern territories, an acceleration to civil war. Ooh, the Supreme Court was acting sussy before? Shocking. It's almost like the Supreme Court isn't really a respectable institution. Similarly, in the debate over gun regulation, moral arguments, appeals to sanctity of life, especially of children, have not resulted in solutions that actually stop mass killings. And the Supreme Court, as in Dred Scott, has imposed its will, contributing to Second Amendment absolutism. In 2008, it bypassed the words well-regulated militia to strike down a strict local gun law and enshrine for the first time an individual right to bear arms for self-defense in the home. So, they probably are also kind of referring to castle doctrines, which it could be, but either way, it doesn't really matter all that much. Castle doctrines are whatever they are. But again, this is also the danger of allowing conservatives to win the presidency and appoint Supreme Court judges. Anybody who tells you voting does not matter, these are the results. Also, we also shouldn't really be that attached to the Supreme Court as an institution because the Supreme Court doesn't have a check on it, unfortunately. Like, there's really nothing. They just made the decision to disregard a part of the text of our Constitution because they just kind of felt like it. So, I mean, this is the sort of stuff where it's like, yeah, like the Supreme Court needs to be reformed. And also the Supreme Court, as much as some people will pretend that it is, a political institution, it's the farthest thing from it. Like, the Supreme Court, chosen by political actors, is a political apparatus at the end of the day. And Democrats and leftists specifically need to be more reticent of that. Need to be more, not reticent, more aware of that. And be better about claiming that power. Let's see. Then, last June, emboldened conservative justices expanded rights for gun owners. In New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, the court established a constitutional right to carry firearms in public, and it denied the state of New York the ability to insist that applicants for a license to carry a concealed weapon show a special need for self-protection in public spaces. So, how do I say this? This is also one of those things where conservatives are just full of shit, because they will argue that all those counties that they spoke about that have enacted Second Amendment sanctuary counties or whatever the fuck, understand those counties are under the belief that if a locality would like to have their own specific reading or understanding of the Second Amendment, they should be allowed to do so. Except in the case when New York wants to do so, then suddenly conservatives have no interest in states' rights, have no interest in a locality's rights. It's always whatever is the fastest argument to get them the power that they wanted. These people are full of shit and do not have any fucking consistent values. Remember that. The court issued this imperious decision at the same time Congress was enacting, new bipartisan gun reforms. State political actors that try to promote gun safety are now bearing its brunt. The case has unleashed scores of lawsuits by gun enthusiasts against state and local gun restrictions. Lower courts have invoked Bruin to halt laws that had been viewed as constitutional, including a local weapons ban, a restriction on homemade firearms, and Texas's ban on 18 to 20-year-olds carrying handguns publicly. Abolitionists, too, were boxed in. In the 1850s, as moral and constitutional arguments failed, they moved to politics. Desperate northern bedfellows who opposed slavery ranged from racist free soil advocates who wanted to keep blacks out of their states and not compete with free labor to radical Republican abolitionists who supported black equality. So understand, that's pretty much the stance. So when they say like free soil who wanted to keep blacks out of their states and not compete with free labor, there was also an element to abolitionism which had nothing to do with equality or morality for African Americans in this country. It was more based around a desire to not compete with free slave labor. During the antebellum South, the thing that kept the South basically functioning was an ability to run plantations and run manufacturing facilities. You know, when I say manufacturing, these aren't like the same manufacturing as we kind of think of factories and stuff, but you know, cotton and shit like that. To be able to get these institutions as large as they would, they wouldn't be able to survive. I mean, they'd be able to survive. They'd do fine if they had to pay labor. But in the North, if you're competing with a Southern cotton supplier who pays $0 for labor, meanwhile you are paying wages, it's inherent. You know, to them, it's what's the word? It's uncompetitive. It's unfair under the capitalist world framing of economics, which is also why is kind of a critique of capitalism, because capitalism is not worried primarily around the moral legitimacy of labor rights, plain and simple. I mean, it's just not something that's very interested in. Let's see. Political argument that gained traction among Northerners was the unifying idea of slave power or slavocracy, in which the country was governed by a small class of Southern planter elites. But antebellum politics was gridlocked by systems and narratives that had perennially accommodated slavery. In particular, the Constitution's 3/5 clause and the allocation of 2 senators to all states gave disproportionate power to small population Southern states, incapable of ending an admitted evil. All effort at containing or reforming it stymied by political polarization. This led to more compromises that extended its life. The cycle ended only with the war that killed more than 600,000 people. So, I don't really think I need to expand on that. I think that was pretty understandable. Will it take civil war for us to become a nation that protects innocents from several sprayed with bullets? We are already in an uncivil culture war in which attacks on books, teaching accurate history, transgender children, drag queens, and more are modern versions of an old politics of stoking fear and resentment among white voters about their purported loss of dominance. According to communication scholars, right-wing politicians now tote guns in campaign ads to appeal to whites, and pro-gun politics are a continuation of the decades-long Republican Southern strategy of cultivating white racial solidarity. We all know that we all know the Southern strategy, right? We all understand that. So many GOP politicians have accommodated and competed for base voters by loosening gun restrictions, not unlike the way national law was bent to accommodate the interests of enslavers from the founding to the Civil War, or the way Democratic candidates competed for white voters in adopting ever more ridiculous Jim Crow laws in the 19th and 20th century. This political performance art has incited and enabled violence that politicians can't control, as well as attacks on government, as seen on January 6 in 2021. Like the KKK of old, self-declared militias of today are not well regulated. Extremist groups, mainly in open carry states, now wield guns to deny the election results of 2020 or counter free expression of black people, LGBTQ plus people, abortion advocates, and others they disagree with. Our constrained democracy seems as incapable of stopping mass killings now as it was incapable of stopping slavery then. Congress requires a supermajority to pass anything because of regular use of filibuster in the Senate. So this is also kind of, when it comes down to it, the Civil War, like the politics of gridlock before the Civil War, were not as a result of the 60 vote threshold in the fucking Senate. We could solve this problem if Democrats got rid of the filibuster. But unfortunately, they've yet to find the fucking stones to get rid of it and pass their agenda, which some might argue Biden never wanted to. Since Sandy Hook, Democrats and Republicans have sorted into separate geographic regions, and extreme partisan gerrymandering ensures disproportionate representation in Congress by the gerrymandering parties rather than alignment with popular will. An assault weapons ban passed in the House this year, largely on party line vote, but because of the filibuster, such a ban requires 60 votes in the Senate and won't advance. It's also not likely to pass the House in the next Congress, in which House Republicans will have a slight majority. Democrats no longer cower to a weakened NRA, but with a bare majority in the Senate and many GOP politicians beholden to extreme base voters, gun safety advocates will be forced to keep fighting this battle for years, if not decades. So the NRA also doesn't really have the same power it used to have. What has actually happened, and what the Republican Party has successfully done, is turn the advocacy that the NRA used to push for into just base conservative politics, like being a gun honestly a gun extremist is part and parcel part of being a Republican now. There's no dividing line there. There's no daylight in between those two things. In a nation with more guns than people and an estimated 20 million AR-15 style weapons in circulation, violence is a constant specter. But the lesson of the 1850s isn't that violence or civil war is inevitable. It's that when moral and constitutional arguments fail, politics has to take over. Those who wish to ban assault weapons should look at the abolitionist movement for inspiration. Anti-slavery visionaries like Frederick Douglass and Thaddeus Stevens embraced politics as their means and agitated for more. Not fewer people being allowed to participate in democracy in order to make our founding ideals of freedom true for all people. When it comes to freedom from fear of gun violence, our best hope is to bolster and repair democracy itself so that the popular will can ultimately prevail. Yeah. So, God, that was a lot of reading. That was a longer article than I remember when I read it the first time. So, guns in America need to be regulated much heavier. I think that's kind of a uncontroversial take and a pretty self-evident one. How we do that, incredibly important. The things we need to be pushing for, as I do think this article kind of does a good job illustrating, is that the propagation of democracy in more communities is a key aspect to solving this problem. But also, I think Democrats need to be better, about advocating for their gun policies and be less, less, I don't really have another word besides cringy, in terms of what they advocate for. Full-on bans is not going to be the thing that I think Democrats should be going out on a limb to argue for. They need to be arguing for smarter policies. But also, and this is the problem, unfortunately, also with Democrats, they need to be better at advocating for democracy and defending not just their own gerrymandered districts, but defending more broad swaths of people in states that maybe aren't safe blue states. Plain and simple, Democrats need to start running in unsafe districts again and fucking grow the stones to actually win races. Like the idea that you would give up and not bother running serious contenders in states that some of the states that they've kind of abstained from winning, absurd, utterly absurd. Like, why you would do that, I don't know. But either way, turning to politics, using rhetoric, arguments, this stuff is going to be important, and it's going to be important to pick solutions that are smarter and that don't alienate as many people. But again, pushing for democracy and getting more people, more of a voice, will allow Democrats to win. Democrats already understand that they perform better with higher turnout. So get to moving on the whole, get more people voting. That's the best thing you can do. More people voting gives you more of an ability to pass the actual gun laws that will actually do stuff and will actually be positive changes for the American people. But all right, so I need some more water. So I'm going to grab some more water. And then we're going to come back. Okay. So over the weekend, TPUSA had their Amerifest or whatever the fuck it's called. So the question's going to be, actually, let's transition this really quick. All right. We got a couple options here. Couple solid options. One second. Let me get rid of me for a second. because I'm gonna have to cut this into a segment. So gotta intro it a bit. All right, so Turning Points USA. They are a political action group of some kind, run by a one Charlie Kirk, who you've probably seen on around the internet. Their goal is to reach out to the younger voting populace, the below 30s. They go to college campuses. They do the whole they kind of, their appeal is supposedly to young folks. And Charlie Kirk has kind of painted himself as a warrior against, I guess, college and the failings of our education system here, which, yeah, it's a privatized system. You would think that Charlie wants a privatized system since he's lives his life every day as a capitalist, but I suppose, to a degree, maybe not. But either way, they hosted, I think it's actually still going on. When's the, oh God, it is. There's like one more day. Wow. And I guess until through tomorrow, they're hosting their America Fest. And they've had a lot of speakers. Now, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't know, man. None of these speakers really are doing it for. I'm not sure if the kids can really handle the sheer charismatic enigma that is Dennis Prager. But ooh, what is this? Ooh, do college kids think that? Oh, okay, I don't care. Okay, anyway, let's start with the founder himself. I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking we'll do Tucker's full speech maybe tomorrow. We'll kind of see. But I'm thinking we'll do Tucker's full speech tomorrow. I do not care about Don Jr. or Kayleigh McEnany, who Kayleigh McEnany was White House press secretary. She's literally paid to lie for the president. That's what every press secretary's job is. I don't really care what she has to say. Now they got Greg Gutfeld here, historically unfunny individual, so should be fun. But yeah, so let's hear Charlie first. I think 17 minutes is a bit much. So they thought this was the shining example of this was the vanguard of Charlie's speech's whole shtick here. Actually, I'm gonna make myself just a bit. No, I'm not. No, fuck that. I'm not being tinier. Fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm not making myself artificially tinier on my own stream. Screw that.
The work we do on college and high school campuses is moving the dial, but I don't think everyone understands the depth or the sophistication of what we've been able to accomplish at Turning Point USA. First, from a big picture perspective.
Why is Charlie so quiet?
From a worldview perspective. Okay. In the last 5 years, according to Morning Consult, in 2017, when Turning Point was just getting started, when our annual event was like the size of that seating section over there, 47% of our nation's young people self-identified with a liberal worldview. 47%. 5 years later, today, 34% of our nation's young people, a 13-point collapse. 13 points.
Wait.
Now,
Charlie. Do I need to look it up? I will look it up on the side, but my friend, I've seen the numbers coming out of Arizona. You did not pull in. What is that? What would that be? Somewhere, he said 34, so that's about 64. You did not pull in 64% of young people in Arizona. I don't know about that one, buddy.
Full disclosure, more young people still identify as liberal as conservative. Conservative increased by 1 point, but look what we're up against. The education system.
Wait. Wait. No way. He did not sit up on stage and take credit for a 1% increase.
Increased by 1 point, but look what we're up against. Still identify as liberal as conservative. Conservative. More young people.
Bring that back.
13 points.
No. 13 points.
With a liberal worldview, 47%.
Okay, so with a liberal worldview. So understand, liberal is not the same as progressive. Liberal is not the same as, like, far leftist. Understand, liberal is, like, in the middle. Liberal is centrists, for the most part. Like,
5 years later, today, 34% of our nation's young people, a 13-point collapse. 13 points. Now, full disclosure, more young people still identify as liberal as conservative. Conservative increased by 1 point. But look what we're up against. The education.
I need to see this. What is this? What did he say? Morning consult? No. What? Morning consult poll, young people, liberal. Young voters, America has become less liberal, but not necessarily. Let's see. When was this posted? This was August 18th. We'll just go with this. America has become less liberal, but not necessarily more conservative. Morning Consult surveys show the declining share of Americans identifying as liberal has grown the moderate middle. Let's see. The share of the share of the electorate identifying as very liberal. Oh yeah, this is the 34 number. Okay. Very liberal, or somewhat liberal on a 7-point scale has dropped over the past 5 years from 34 to 27. Those aren't the okay. Let's see. The decline in liberal self-identification has not led to major increase in conservative alignment, the most prominent ideology in U.S. politics. Is it? Is conservatism the most? Okay. The data paints a crisp image of asymmetric polarization as Democratic voters drifted towards the middle and Republican voters shifted further to the right. The left is losing the battle on this is like, right, I should have known. I forgot Morning Consult is like kind of bullshit, isn't it? Okay, let's take a look. How do I minimize yourself for a minute there, Charlie, while I... Un momento, por favor. Okay, here we go. Very conservative. Oh my goodness. Slightly low, moderate. So there's a widening of the moderate gap. No college, bachelor's degree. Oh, this looks very scientific. This looks 18 to 20. Yeah, give me 18 to 34. I don't give a fuck about the old people. How partisan ideologies have changed? Yeah, because Republicans are more extremist right now. Okay, so yeah. Wait, so let's get this straight. At best, people are coming to the position that Democrats are cringe and Republicans are cringe. That's the thing he's taking credit for. Also, that wasn't young people. Turning Points USA is here for the young people.
Education system, digital social media, but what we are seeing is movement in the right direction, and it's not happening by itself. At Turning Point USA, we are on pace to hit 1,000 high school chapters across the country. High school chapters all across the country. And
I love the idea that that's not grooming. These guys travel from high school to high school, spreading their political ideology. Not grooming, apparently.
If you are a high school student out there and you are not yet involved, you have got to go to our booth in the exhibit hall and start a high school chapter. We just launched a year and a half ago.
Fellas, let's be clear. You start a TPUSA high school chapter in your school at the detriment of your sex life. Just giving you a fair warning.
USA Faith, which is an incredible... I see some of our pastors here all across the country. we hosted an amazing pastor summit, over 400 pastors and wives at our pastor summit. And if you ask me, one of the most important things that needs to happen in American Christianity is we need to excommunicate the demonic, anti-biblical idea of wokeism out of the American church.
Oh, I love the wokeism bit.
Immediately.
What is wokeism? It's anything that's not conservatism. Yes.
The chapters that we're starting on...
My God, this is like a fucking WrestleMania fucking stage. Look at this. Wow. Got the stripes, some stars. Wow.
College and high school camp.
Wait, do they have like a little VIP section down here? It doesn't look like anybody's there though. Why is
not just a matter
stage like this if there's not
having a group on campus, but we are creating students that are having to persevere and endure criticism, backlash.
Oh man. Fuck man, I went through my entire Jesus man, the hardest thing I went through, getting criticized.
Slander, smear, opposition. One of the reasons why
how much of those do you think, how much of the last couple do you think happened?
Our young people are tougher than the liberals.
Are they?
Our opposition is fragile.
It's always fragile.
Our opposition can't hear a speaker without trying to deploy the shock troops. Our opposition has not...
The shock? I think you mean shock troopers, dipshit.
...had to contend or fight for their beliefs.
Get the allegiance right.
Go talk to some of our amazing students at Turning Point USA here, what they have to go through. And yes, we could say, oh yeah, feel sorry for us, the persecution, the graded differently, getting kicked out of class, all of that.
Dude, the aggrievement, oh my God. The aggrievement of a conservative is the most insufferable thing ever. They will sit here and talk about how strong they are, then go on for 20 minutes about how somebody disagreeing with them was like fucking Nam, was fucking Da Nang. You're welcome.
But guess what? You are seeing a conservative movement that is growing stronger
and older
the more they fight. What gives me hope is that what we see on these campuses is a generation that understands the only way you beat the left is you never give up and you never give them an inch, period. It doesn't matter what they call you. It doesn't matter the names. It doesn't matter the smear. It doesn't matter the slander at all. The media department at Turning Point USA reaching hundreds of millions of people with daily shows with Jack Posobiec, Drew Hernandez, Alex Clark, millions of people on Instagram and Facebook every single day, impacting culture, making persuasive content.
Making persuasive content. Charlie, I think that's your thing. I don't think regular kids are, oh my God, there's been more. Oh geez. There's a deficit of masculinity. Well, I don't know where it is. If it's, let's be clear. If there's a, you know what? Hit me with it. Hit me with it. Hit me with it. If there's a deficit of masculinity, it ain't in this house.
And men.
Oh,
wow.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, talk about people that should just shut the valve off when it comes to listening to anything that comes from the left. We live in a society right now.
We live in a society that is true.
Masculinity. That is the truth. This is a society that tells you that it's wrong to be a man, that it's wrong to stand up straight.
You know, it's funny. It's actually the left who would say that it's not wrong to be a man, just the definitions of what is a man is arbitrary and not really anything based on objectivity. That manhood and being a man in any definitive term is socially constructed. In fact, that's actually really the only leftist argument, is that manhood, the same with womanhood, is socially constructed. That's really it. I don't care what you are. If you're gonna be a man, just don't be a toxic asshole. If you're going to participate or manifest the toxic natures of masculinity, to which there are absolutely toxic factors. It's the same toxic factors that Jordan Peterson talks about when he complains about men going off to die in wars. That is an element of toxic masculinity. When it's men always paying for meals, that is an element of toxic masculinity. It's not really that hard, guys. It's not. The left doesn't hate masculinity. We just don't like toxic masculinity. Same way, you know, anybody doesn't like negative elements of any kind of identity or you know, like format for living one's life.
Right?
Or format of values,
that you should,
I should say.
I don't know, hunch over and say sorry all the time. Don't hold doors for women, right? That's a new thing that you're learning.
I thought the left loves Game of Thrones. We love Hodor.
I'm just like a man. I can open my own door. Thank you. Okay, you can, but why would you want to if someone's opening it for you, right? You can.
I'm confused.
So proud of you for being able to do that.
Wait,
Seems
huh? What?
Opening it for you.
Was she doing a bit?
I'm just like a man. I can open my own door. Thank you. Okay, you can, but why would you want to if someone's opening it for you, right? You can.
Is she talking about women? Is she complaining because women are like, I can get my own door. It's fine. You don't have to do that. That's like, if you want to, that's fine. But like, what are we talking about?
That you should, I don't know, hunch over and say sorry all the time. Don't hold doors for women, right? That's a new thing that.
Wait, what?
You're learning.
Wait, I'm sorry. As you know, as a leftist with a Twitch account, and who does this 3 times a day at 7 o'clock on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, you should totally follow and check out the streams. I don't remember ever telling anybody to not hold doors. In fact, you can ask my girlfriend. I hold doors to a detriment. I end up standing my ass cold outside holding doors for all sorts of old people and a whole bunch of other people to enter the mall all the goddamn time. And you know what? And I'll just put it out there. You know what? This is what I have to say. This is my don't hold doors stance here. If someone does not say thank you, you look them right in the eye. You look them right in the eye and you say, you're welcome. That's what you do. That's what you do, all right? That other than that, hold doors. I don't give a shit. It's a nice thing to do. It's the polite thing to do. Sure. You're not required to. As a man, holding a door is not necessary to be a man. Like, what? So, like, if you don't hold a door, you're not a man all of a sudden? I thought it was based on biology now. It's always a shifting. It's always going to be a shifting standard. Which is why it's arbitrary and it's a social construct. It's why it's Matt Walsh goes on and on about, like, what is a woman? What is a man? What is this? What is that? Idiot. It's a arbitrarily decided upon list of traits and maybe some values, maybe, but really they're social values. So no, there's no objective standard to what a woman is, because being a woman has more to do than just having a vagina. Like, that's not that like the same way being a man has more to do than having a penis. Like, fuck's sake. Pick one. I need conservatives. If anything, I need conservatives to fucking pick one. Either being a man is something you do or being a man is something you are. But pick one and argue for that stance. Not constantly fucking thrash from left to fucking right, never knowing what being an actual man is. Fuck's sake. Like, holding doors. The fuck? It's not my responsibility as a man to hold your door. It's my responsibility as a nice person to hold the door. I don't have to, though. Not even my responsibility. It's an inclination. It's a societal norm.
Just like a man. I can open my own door. Thank you. Okay, you can, but why would you want to if someone's opening it for you?
I still don't know. I don't know what the bit was for.
So proud of you for being able to do that. Seems like a pretty bad deal. I don't need him to pay for my meal. I can pay. Okay, you can, but that money would be nice if it was still in your account, right?
But what about wait, but what about men who are pressured into paying for meals? That's a negative. That's not good. It's not good that men, because of arbitrary social norms or standards, are suddenly burdened with, like, an economic penalty or, like, an economic barrier to, like, pursue romantic relationships with people. That's not fair. What is this? What is this? There's double speak and then there's this. Jesus.
Let him open the door, right? Let him pay for a meal for you. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with the incredible symbiotic way in which men and women come together. Our personalities are different. It is important for men to remember that our society...
Did that change recently? Are men and women's personalities different? Did that change at some point? Okay.
Society needs you. There is
God forbid women be into men's stuff and men be into women's stuff.
Nothing wrong with masculinity, but there is a problem when there is a deficit of masculinity, okay?
Right-wing men, are you okay?
What we are suffering from right now, every societal ill that we are suffering from.
Every single one of them.
There's a lot of it, right? This has become a cancerous society.
Couldn't possibly
be...
be...
It is entirely plausible that it is a terminal mind virus that we are fighting right now. Wokeism is...
Oh my God, wokeism. Okay, anyway.
In fact, a mind virus. Elon Musk said that correctly, right?
Guys,
everything that...
Candace, Elon's not showing up. I'm sorry. Maybe next year. Maybe next year he'll show up, but he ain't showing up this year.
That they do is to break down your psychological immune system.
Yes.
Talked about this on my podcast. It is so important, especially for people your age, to understand this.
Does she have a podcast? Doesn't she just like do the same thing Ben does and Matt does? That's not a podcast. A podcast would be like talking with people. Like, I'm not a podcaster, I'm a streamer, but like a podcast is when you talk to people. Yeah, like what? Okay.
In the world before social media, we didn't have this kind of mental disease. We just didn't. I'm telling you.
Liberalism.
Growing up in the 90s,
it never existed.
You were very happy. Playing hopscotch outside, a little bit of kickball. Things were cool. Men were...
Okay, so as a 90s kid, I get to revoke this card. Candace, get the fuck out of my 90s. Get the fuck out. You're out. You're out. Get the fuck out. You're out. You can have the 80s. You can have the early 2000s. Go bother somebody else. Get the fuck out of my 90s. I don't want to hear this shit about the fucking 90s. There are kids who go outside and do all the same shit. You sound like the same fucking parents that we had in our age who bitched and moaned to us that we stayed in home and played Nintendo too much and forced us to go outside. You are in the same generation, Candace. Stop with this kids don't go outside anymore bullshit. This happens every fucking generation. I'm so tired of it. It is a tired, lazy, uninteresting argument because it's always just feeding. It's always just a development from the ignorance to understand the young, which, by the way, is why Turning Points USA will always be an abject failure. Understand, Charlie Kirk and his organization moved negligible, if they even moved any young people whatsoever, especially in the state of Arizona, because I believe there's some specific numbers about that. But go ahead and look at the midterm elections. Did young people come out for conservatives, for GOP candidates? It's funny because if they did, you would expect them to have won the Senate, to have won governor's houses, they did win the House, but you would expect some of these wins, right? So it's curious that meanwhile, so why is any of this happening? Why are we having this entire fucking cringe-chella over here? Like, why is this happening in the middle of Arizona in fucking winter, by the way? Is it a wonder that they host one of these stupid fucking festival things during the winter time when nobody goes outside, when everyone's trying to huddle inside from the fucking frigid weather? I think like later this week it's going to be like negative 17 degrees or something here in Denver. Like, please, you all have always been and will continue to be an abject failure for the simple fact that your conception of young people is derived from an understanding from at least 2 generations up. because you say dumb shit. Like, back in my day, we used to jump hopscotch, and back in my day, we used to run around and men were men and boys were boys. Shut the fuck up. Like, this doesn't have anything to do with anything. You didn't even know what a boy was because you were grossed out by them back in the 90s, Candace. Fucking, actually, when the fuck is, what is Candace? Candace is probably not even like, Candace is probably like an 80s kid. Let's find out. Candace Owens, 89. Okay, so you do get, okay, so to be fair, you do get into the 90s, but I'm still revoking your 90s card. Get the fuck out. You get out. No. You can move on. You can move on, honey. Nobody's interested in your conception of the 90s.
Men, women were women. Men were allowed to be men. Women were allowed to be women.
There was also marital rape was not frowned upon legally in the 90s. Fun fact.
The 90s so much. Wow, what a golden decade. Something changed.
Nobody's cheering because nobody hears
you guys are now
from the 90s.
With a virus that is happening online.
The mind virus of non-conservatism.
It's a social media virus that is happening, and they are trying to break down your psychological immune system.
This is true.
It has been proven that they use algorithms.
Yes.
Quite literally, they use algorithms.
Yes.
To make people aspire toward bad ideas.
Do I need to say it? Do I need to say that what she's actually talking about is they have algorithms that push people toward similar ideas that they're already interested in. We already know how the algorithms work in terms of feeding you content that you already have a predisposition to enjoy. Like, we already know that part of this, right? What she's pretending is that, like, inherently, if it's not conservative values, it must be bad. It's very small-minded thinking here. Okay. Should we... You know, they only got Matt for like 5 minutes. No. Did you bring a fucking... Of course you brought a fucking... Of course. My dude, for God's sake. My fellow young people. Me and my fucking... Why do you have a stand, man? What is this? 3rd fucking grade? You're gonna fidget behind the fucking podium? Okay.
To be here with my fellow right-wing extremists. It's a very dangerous group here.
Oh my God. I'll give him credit. He's so right. They are right-wing extremists. At least somebody's in the room is being honest. I wonder how it feels. I wonder how it feels like when the others are in the back and he opens with that very, like, what's the word? Like, very mask off, very traditional Matt Walsh, you know, I don't really give a fuck. I'm fine with claiming being a fascist. It's okay. Like, I've accepted being a fascist. Like, I sometimes wonder, like, do you think they get pissed? Are they like, dude, what the fuck? You keep going out there. We're supposed to be framing ourselves as the reasonable, neutral center group, and you keep going out there and fucking telling everyone we're far-right extremists. What the fuck, man? Like, good God.
You know, we use various names to describe the other side, our ideological opponents.
I really don't. Okay.
Liberals, libs, progressives. Maybe these terms historically have had slightly different
What did that guy say?
Maybe these terms historically have had to describe the other side, our ideological opponents, the left, leftists, liberals, libs, progressives. Maybe these terms historically have had slightly different meanings, but today they all mean essentially the same thing.
Yes, the collapsing of all definitions, a usual far right and pretty fashy playbook move. Yeah. You know, you play with the definitions of words, you obfuscate what they actually mean, and you know, you just kind of, what's the difference between a progressive and a liberal? Well, kind of a lot. But if you're Matt Walsh, it doesn't really matter because you're not really interested in the difference between liberals and progressives or even leftists. You're just, at the end of the day, you're not on my team, therefore you're the enemy.
And out of this buffet of options, I prefer progressive. And I prefer it because progressive
you ever used
indeed progress. It stands for progress. It's just that it progresses as cancer progresses. It is not a progression towards something.
Whoa, you really got me there. It progresses like a Ford F-150 progresses down the street. See there, I made it right wing and cool.
Better or more whole or more functional, but rather it progresses like the progression of a malignant tumor.
Has anybody seen that movie, Malignant? It's awful.
The leftist, the lib, whatever you want to call him, is to destroy all that once was.
The liberal.
Empty everything of meaning. To pull up every tree by its roots and then just throw it in the fire. They're not building.
I really love how Matt passes off just empty rhetoric and like just empty rhetoric as like definitional, like the way he presents saying just a bunch of propagandistic like terms, and the way like he just says it as if like he's reading from a dictionary, mainly because he probably had to write it down on that little sheet of paper and he's like frantically flipping his little flashcards or something to because he wrote too many adjectives to explain this one noun. But yeah, it's all like, you're not reading definitions, dumbass. You're just making shit up, which unfortunately a lot of his audience is stupid enough to fucking fall for any of this stuff.
Building anything with the lumber
and just seal clap for the most part.
Certainly they're not going to build anything stable or enduring. All that matters to the progressive is the individual ego, the individual's desires.
Aren't you guys always all about individual? See, this is what I mean. In one breath, they will talk about individual rights and the individual this and the individual that, and then they'll switch their argument from like, nope, it's not about individuals, it's about communities. But the minute you bring up any kind of communistic value or any collective value, I should say, they immediately start fucking mouthing about it. Like, pick one of your values, just one of them. Keep one of them in mind when you make arguments, for fuck's sake, and when you deliver rhetoric.
Everything in the world exists to service that. And whatever stands in the way of his immediate pleasure and satisfaction, or whatever he perceives to be
so much narrativization too,
must be annihilated. There's no real vision beyond that. Tear down the statues, redefine the words, bring the institutions crumbling down, sever the bonds of the family, and when that's done, just keep on doing it in an endless cycle of destruction. There is no step 2 to this plan. That's it. That's all they got. So what about us? Well, we call ourselves conservatives.
Right. So, I mean, look, when it comes down to it, a accurate assessment of leftist and, he'll use the word progressive, so I'll use it, and progressive politics has never been a part of the conservative critique. Not once have they ever attempted to either describe nor associate actual progressive or leftist ideology or policies in any kind of proper way. Most of the time you hear all of this narrativization, all of this, I mean, quite frankly, I have no other terms for it other than bitching and moaning about other people's opinions. Conservatism to Matt Walsh and to people like Matt Walsh is politics based on an opposition to other people's actual positions and actual prescriptive claims. Like, that's, without something to react to, without something to, in their mind, I guess, defend, conservatives have nothing. They have nothing. They would defend the idea of still throwing rocks and sticks at each other from like back in the fucking caveman days if they thought it was the traditional way to live. Like, their goal is to not progress as a society, to progress as a species, to do any of that. Their goal is to simply defend whatever hierarchy is already in place, because they are, amongst other things, weak-minded. That's all it really is. There's no other thought process behind this. Conservatives have no interest in forwarding some vision of America. They just want it to stay exactly where it is, to never change, to never grow, to never rethink, to never do any of that. Thought to them seems to kind of be a limiting factor in their cognitive abilities.
And it's almost a cliche now to ask this question, but what are we conserving exactly? Well, we are tasked with conserving all that is under attack: history, tradition.
Literally, let's just name everything. Anything that could vaguely fit under any subject. That's what we're defending.
The family, liberty, Western civilization itself.
Ooh, love that. Western civilization. Can I get some whoop whoops for the white supremacists in chat? That's that good shit right there. When you want to say white supremacy, when you want to say white people, when you want to say the people of Wonderbread, that's what you say. You say Western civilization. Nice one, Matt. Nice one. Also, doesn't Turning Point USA have like a trouble with like Nazis in their smaller groups?
And underneath all of that is something even more fundamental, the most fundamental thing of all, which is truth. Our first and foremost job right now is to fight for, defend, and promote truth.
True. Okay.
Because truth itself is under attack in a way that we have never seen before.
He's
in
totally
the
gonna.
history of the human race. There is a war.
So he's like totally gonna start shilling for his documentary, right? Like that's what's happening, right?
War being waged on reality, and that is where we must be primarily engaged. We are arguing not just for propositions that happen to be true, but for truth as a concept, for the very existence of truth. That's what we're arguing for. Because the people on the other side, they not only promote untrue ideas and make untrue claims about the world, but they.
It's funny because all educational institutions side with leftists, not with rightoids. So this is, again, I mean, at the end of the day, this is feelings over facts, because what is true, usually you need like a broad consensus, or at least a scientific consensus, to which Matt Walsh has fucking neither. So I don't know what he's talking about truth there.
They also deny that anything such as truth exists to begin with. We all get our own truth, they say. This is my truth. That's your truth.
Do I need to point to the how many Republicans doing the my president, not my president during not just Obama, but Biden's presidency? Like, do I need to go there? Like, come on now. Shouldn't that already tell you, considering both sides engage in a lot of this like my truth bullshit? Shouldn't that just tell you a little bit, Matt, that maybe truth is you know, a bit of a shared understanding of facts of the world, or at the very least of understanding of the world, I should say, of an understanding of the world.
Every objective truth claim is false automatically, according to them, except the claim that there is no truth. That somehow is still true.
This is incomprehensible.
For a lot of reasons, yet it's something that we tend to lose sight of. So just one very recent example to illustrate my point. A few days ago, you may have heard about the great calamity, the great tragedy that struck.
He's going to talk about Twitter, isn't he? He's going to talk about Twitter. Let's see. Twitter, what else happened the last couple of days? No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Twitter. I feel like Twitter's probably going to be the big. Yeah.
The unimaginable horror. It was like January 6th and 9/11 1 times 5.
You mean January 30th?
A few liberals in the media got suspended on Twitter.
Fucking knew it. You do, Matt, your own, Matt, I already talked to Ben about this. You can't do this now. I already scolded Ben for this. You cannot argue. You cannot make the argument that, like, the people, liberals who get kicked off of Twitter over this past weekend are crybaby bitch boys. Meanwhile, people who got yeeted off of Twitter last year were free speech warriors. Sorry, it's I'm sorry, Matt, but you can't have it both ways. Either all of them are bitch boys or none of them are. Please stop with this.
Now, how dare you applaud that, you monsters?
Also, real free speech advocate here. Nice.
Not just because they're annoying, which is why I would have suspended them.
As you, once again, like Matt Walsh coming in with the authoritarianism.
They're suspended because they broke the rules against doxing. Yet these left-wing journalists had never been in a situation where the rules actually applied to them. And so this was a great shock. They said, wait a second, the rules apply to us now too? And this is why it was treated as urgent
guy in the background
by every corporate media outlet. They cried out in protest. They called for congressional investigations.
Well, it is kind of, Elon Musk did kind of make himself a target, since after taking over Twitter, he wanted to do his little meme of like, I really care about the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, which, fun fact, journalism is also in there, free press is in there. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you say one thing, then you do the other. You just kind of look like a fucking idiot, which, that's fine. That's fine. Look, Elon Musk paid $44 billion to look like a fucking idiot. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But, like, spare me this whole, like, oh, the liberals were upset. Liberals were fine. Liberals are also always upset about everything. Nobody likes liberals. Like, calm down, Matt. I don't think this is the, This isn't the own you think it is.
The EU said it was considering sanctions.
Well, the EU has different speech laws, dipshit.
Joe Biden threatened a nuclear
Read a
strike
book,
against
dude.
Twitter headquarters. This
Har, 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 har.
Wikipedia article for this event refers to it as, and I quote, the Thursday Night Massacre. Now, of course, conservatives have...
Could it possibly be because that's what it was referred to by enough people that Wikipedia noted that that's what people on Twitter were calling it? You do realize Wikipedia didn't name it that. Wikipedia most likely has it. Matt doesn't know how Wikipedia works, so let's move on.
Have been getting massacred by big tech for years and years, and all of these same leftists applauded. But now, on one platform at least, they are suddenly subject to the rules, and to them it's a genocidal travesty.
I thought we were using progressive. Now we're back to leftists.
Now the media claimed that this was a violation of the principles of free speech.
Yes, because it is. It's not a violation of the law. It's a violation of the principles, but law and the principles that law enshrines are very different. Elon Musk claims to care about the principles of the First Amendment, but in no way is he required to enforce those or abide by those on his private platform.
They had just, in that very moment, decided that they cared about free speech, and now they're in a position to lecture us about it somehow. They said that we conservatives were obligated to defend them and their free speech rights, if we indeed care as much about free expression as we claim to.
Hey, Skeptical, how are you?
Now, of course, this is not really a violation.
I only really have about 8 minutes. If you want, we could do something tomorrow. We could definitely do that.
I have to admit that even if it had been a violation of their free speech, I still would not have defended them. And I'll tell you why. Because it's good for people to get a dose of their own medicine for a change. It is good.
I didn't mean to do that. Oh, good God. Something I've kind of learned with like covering Matt Walsh, probably more than like anybody else, is you really got to take your like open fascists, not just at face value, but you really got to just let them keep talking, man. They just love to like to just pull the rope just a little bit farther. All right, let's see who else. Okay, we don't have time for Prager. I don't think we have 8 hours for him to fucking. Actually, 1 second. I want to catch a vibe really quick.
The United States of America. The great job is not to skew the news. The great job is to tell the truth. The left want to fundamentally transform the United States of America. The government.
No, I want to hear his speech. I want to hear it.
That is all the difference in the world. They think they're wonderful, and America stinks.
Okay, I'm actually only playing this. I'm only going to play this little bit because I'm assuming that Huffle Shoes is watching. I'm going to make that assumption. Because she did not believe me in how fucking slow and how just fucking molasses fucking Dennis Prager talks. Like, holy shit, my fucking computer can hardly pick up.
Huge difference. That's why they're so arrogant.
This is at one
so
speed.
Foolish. The biggest battle in your life is with human nature and your nature. They're not the same. We all have human nature, but everybody has his or her own. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid how...
Jesus. No, you can't put fire emojis after Dennis Prager. Not allowed. Jesus Christ. You can put a fucking syrup bottle emoji. That's the only thing you can fucking do. All right. Fuck. God damn, they gave Greg Gutfeld's unfunny ass 34 goddamn minutes. Jesus. Okay, okay, look. Carrie Lake, she did her speech. Go watch. There should be a clip by the Majority Report. Just go watch that. I got no more to say to them. Okay, the left doesn't want. Okay, I don't know who this person. Stop. Jesus Christ. Okay. Also, I love how the Chirons just constantly like, buy Charlie Kirk's book, please. Please, young people, buy this book. Okay, Congresswoman-elect. Oh, shit, this person's a congressperson. Okay, this person's kind of important in terms of they actually get a vote in our government. Okay.
Hello,
This person
Arizona.
is vaguely important.
This is now, I'd have to say, my 4th year coming to a Turning Point event. And although I am now a member of Congress...
You're still coming to one of these?
I got my start where all of you are today. So my first event was actually at the Young Women's...
how do you just admit that you engage in loser activity so openly? Jesus.
Leadership Summit back in 2018.
Oh, I think I remember watching that. I think I watched Vosh and Shuan had watched that. That was fucking funny.
Incredibly important to fighting for the youth of this nation.
Oh yeah, the youth.
When I had the choice, and mind you, I had planned on going to medical school. I was going to go out there, rejoin the military.
How dare you?
And find a way to.
How fucking dare her? Those places are for men. God damn it. Conservative men in this crowd. Fucking victims. Golly. Won't anybody stick up for the men in this crowd?
Give back to my community that way.
Just being emasculated like this.
But when Charlie Kirk called me in August of 2018 and said, Anna, we need your help, I really had a decision to make. Was I going to stay and fight and get engaged in the conversation, or was I going to leave to go to medical school? And I really chose to stay because I realized the fight that we as a nation are currently facing. I saw that they were increasingly telling my generation, younger generations, that socialism was a good thing and that it hadn't been done correctly yet.
It's an amazing thing.
I increasingly heard that it was wrong for women to be pro-life, that we should...
Okay. Well, let's be clear. The pro-life movement, being pro-life is not wrong. It's being anti-choice that is wrong. If you personally are pro-life, I got no problem with you. That's fine. I can understand that. I understand that stance. If you are anti-choice, we have a problem.
Shouldn't have our Second Amendment, that the founding fathers of the United States were racist?
Well, okay. So, first of all, we don't have a Second Amendment. I know I did Marjorie Taylor Greene. This lady's probably a Latina, so that doesn't quite track. I shouldn't do the voice. I won't do the voice. I'm sorry. But first of all, the only argument that like the only thing that's happened is they've wanted to pass more gun regulations, not a ban on weapons. Your Second Amendment wouldn't be revoked. It would simply be, honestly, hardly inhibited. It would just be more things you have to do to be able to actually manifest it. Same way being able to move around in a car.
I did not agree with those things.
Wait, what was the other thing she said?
I did not agree with those things.
Clearly.
Fathers of the United States were racist?
Oh, yeah. No, well, you know, when you have when you own slaves, it's kind of racist, right? Like that, we all know this, right? Like conservatives might not, but like, we all understand this. Like, founding fathers owned slaves, you know, settled on the 3/5 compromise, which, whether you agree or not, was a racist compromise. So if you ended up compromising on it, you were enshrining a racist structure. There's no real getting around that.
I did not agree with those things. And it is so incredibly important that one person, it doesn't matter who you are, what background you come from, you could literally come from a circumstance like how I came and grew up.
Which
I grew
was?
up in the welfare system. I had a very young single mom who had me. My father was in and out of prison. He struggled with a methamphetamine addiction. And yet all of those things I realized, because I was born in one of the greatest countries in the world, the United States, were only a part of my story, but would not hold me back.
First, two things. One, I'm really happy that you've made it this far through our social safety net. It's almost like our social safety net has allowed people to thrive in negative situations. Just a thought. Also, second point, that's a nice fit. I gotta be honest. The whole, it's a get up. I respect it. I could probably pull that off. I could probably buy that, actually. Ooh, what if I did that for stream? Ooh, that'd be fun.
Thank you.
I'll do my hair like her too. My hair's long enough. Absolutely.
I joined the military. It's where I met my husband, Andy, who in 2014 was shot in Afghanistan. He received a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, but he kept deploying because he also loves this nation.
Oh, please don't do that. Any veterans, I'd prefer you stay in America after you're like injured like that. Like, I'm perfectly fine with you getting more aid to be able to live a comfortable life after getting shot in another country fighting useless wars. Like, God's sakes, like, stop putting yourself in danger. But then again, if my wife was going to TPUSA events every year for 4 years, I'd probably deploy again too.
Shortly into my job with Turning Point USA, I was their National Hispanic Outreach Director.
Naturally.
And part of what I did is I would go...
The local Hispanic. There's always the one Hispanic.
I would share what I was finding out about what was happening at the border with human trafficking.
Wait,
And yet people online largely were calling me a conspiracy theorist. They were saying that I was a coconut, that I was whitewashed, that I wasn't Hispanic enough because I was not regurgitating.
I'm so mad that she literally already said that she like started working for Turning Point USA and then started propagating their like talking points. It's like, you're now being you went from zero to being paid to push immigration propaganda. Sorry, I don't like. Yeah, you're like either one of two things. Either A, you're a grifter, don't hold any opinions and are just following the money. That's A. B, you're a dumb fuck. Those are really it. Like I don't know how to help you on that one. Like you either haven't done any of the research or really thought about any of this stuff. You just started working somewhere, and when they told you, hey, show up on Fox News and say all the stuff that Fox News says about immigrants, but you're gonna say it as the brown person. And if you don't notice that, I don't know how to help you. If that dissidence doesn't register for you, you're beyond my help.
The lies that the left was putting out there.
I'm so envious of this fucking suit, though.
Yeah, for those, just real quick, show of hands, who here has been called a race traitor or a coconut because you're a minority?
I've never heard coconut before.
Values. Okay.
You know, also, as a proud coconut myself, let me just say, you're kind of a dumb fuck, lady. That's all I'm gonna say. Look, sue me. I don't care. I get to say it because I'm also a coconut. Grew up in a white family. I get to say it.
Good own. For you guys, because
fucking
people
own.
that call you those names, they're uninformed. They don't know what's happening in our country, and the leftist media wants to use people like that to keep your voices from speaking the truth.
The leftist media, it's always it can't be the media.
Now more than ever is one of the most powerful forms of cleaning up what's happening in this country. I'm seeing it all the time, and I'm learning very quickly, especially.
Is it Windex? It's Windex, isn't it?
Being in Washington, that sometimes they don't want you to speak the truth. But I didn't get elected to lie to the American people.
Are you going to be one of these people who like never says what the truth is? You just broadly gesture towards your opinions and say like cuz that's like the other game. When you don't want to be fact checked, you just broadly gesture towards people don't want you to know the truth, and then you make like outlandish claims. Like that's the game we're playing, right? Like
I got elected to fight, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Thank you. So as I continued to put out there what was happening, the fact that Hispanic women and children are the largest targeted demographic in human trafficking, the fact that even previous to 2016, Democrats had the same viewpoints that, the left had the same viewpoints that conservatives had.
You're mixing up your terms there. Watch it. You got to keep consistent on some of these.
On immigration, what changed? Well, maybe the fact that in 2016, the largest voting minority in the country was projected to be Hispanic Americans, specifically of Mexican descent. That is exactly why they changed the national narrative. That is exactly why they started to push open borders. That is exactly why, knowing full well that there would be an issue with people being hurt on both sides, that they chose to lie to the American people. I did not want to be a part of that. There's so many great people here today. I know Anthony Cabasa is one of them, a conservative, independent journalist. Drew Hernandez, who's now with Turning Point USA.
So, let's just finish
those
this.
People back then started out as grassroots activists attending these events. And those are the same people today.
So these are just big grooming events, huh? That's, I've been told by the right wing that pushing ideology towards kids, and by the way, Turning Point USA is for kids. That's kind of their goal, is to reach young people. I've heard that that's grooming. I'm also confused where this lady's even going with this.
Thank you.
Bring that back. What?
So as I continued to put out there what was happening, the fact that
as you continue spreading,
are the largest targeted demographic in human trafficking.
Right. So also that human trafficking is toward the U.S., not from the U.S. Gotcha.
The fact that even previous to 2016, Democrats had the same viewpoints that, the left had the same viewpoints that conservatives had on immigration.
Which was?
What changed? Well, maybe the fact that in 20...
Wait. Leftists had the same stance on immigration as conservatives? Is that true? I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure about that one.
2016, the largest voting minority in the country was projected to be Hispanic Americans, specifically of Mexican descent. That is exactly why they changed the national narrative. That is exactly why they started to push open borders.
Wait, we started pushing open borders because there was a predictable trend of increased Hispanic voters? Why would I need to open the borders? There's already a predictable trend that says they're coming here anyway. So why the fuck would I need to open the borders? It's like it's like you opened your faucet and they were like, you opened it more because you wanted more water. Like, no, I didn't need to. Like, it's fine. The water's coming through just fine. I didn't really open borders. Not only that, but nobody actually argues for open borders. If I would love to ask somebody, actually, that's my real question. What the fuck is an open borders policy? Unless you're talking about the ability to seek asylum, which is not an open borders policy, it's an amnesty policy, which is different. Open borders would be like dissolving Border Patrol and ICE and just being like, it doesn't matter anymore. The jurisdictional lines between the U.S. and Mexico are now void in terms of on American side. So, no, this is ridiculous.
That is exactly why.
Not only that, but like she spoke earlier about the targeting of Hispanic girls and women in the human trafficking industry, which is true. And would you like to know what group of people are targeted the most? It's undocumented immigrants. Because when you are undocumented, you cannot go to the police, you cannot go to the authorities, you are stuck in a gray zone in between both countries, unable to seek amnesty. If you're unable to seek amnesty while fleeing a cartel that specializes in human trafficking, guess what? You are fuck out of luck. Because you can't go to the police, because then you'll be deported. And if you get deported, you'll probably be fucking murdered by the cartel. So what do? You just go along and hope at some point you get out of the human trafficking ring, which doesn't happen. Like at the end of the day, amnesty is the only way for people to be able to legally participate in our systems and be protected by those systems. Same goes for regular immigration. If you are an immigrant coming into America, seeking amnesty, and we are denying you that, and you're doing so because of hardship, because of cartel violence, whatever it might be, you're kind of fucked if they turn you back around. It's why you saw so much crime and like rape and everything else in some of those like makeshift villages that they built in Mexico when the Remain in Mexico policy was enacted by the Trump administration, because you put all of these people in incredibly dire situations with no ability to go to the authorities and no way to escape cartel violence. And then you just shove them all into one little village or whatever. And then the cartels just roll in, take over, and look at that. Now they can traffic drugs, which also is a result of the drug war. If you got rid of the drug war and if you rolled back many of those policies, you would see a hit to the cartel's ability to fund their organizations. You would also then bring drug dealers and those in that kind of field of work into the legal system. They would then have the ability again to participate in the legal system, go to the police, do all the rest of these things. But if you leave them with no ability to do these things, what are they going to go to the fucking Mexican police? Not to degrade the Mexican police force or anything, but like, come on. I think we all kind of have an idea of how safe people probably feel going to the Mexican police.
Why, knowing full well that there would be an issue with people being hurt on both sides, that they chose to lie to the American people. I did not want to be a part of that. There's so many great people here today. I know Anthony Cabasa is one of them, a conservative, independent journalist. Drew Hernandez, who's now with Turning Point USA. Many of those people back then started out as grassroots activists attending these events.
Yep, losers, yep.
And those are the same people today that are leading the fight against the progressive left, especially that left.
Now we're on to progressive.
Indoctrinate the now largest voting minority in the.
What am I indoctrinating? Wait, because I want more sensible immigration laws and like better amnesty clauses, I guess would be the word. That's indoctrination. Am I indoctrinating them, or am I simply, and this is the crazy part, am I simply, as a leftist, addressing the needs and concerns of a demographic that the Republican Party has no interest in courting? Could be. Could possibly be. But, all right, so we're about 12 minutes over. So, we're going to have to wrap this up. All right, so, well, the America Fest. So, I think, tomorrow, I'm thinking, like we kind of have to watch Tucker, right? Like he is the largest figure on the right. So I think we'll open, I haven't 100% decided, but I think it will open with Tucker, and yeah, we'll do maybe we'll open with Tucker. We'll get that out of the way really quickly. And then from there, I think there's a few videos. Oh, the right-wing comedy. Oh, yes. Maybe we'll start with that. We'll start with a chaser of that. That's what we'll do. Or we'll start with the lighthearted stuff first, maybe tomorrow. But no promises. I might change my mind. Who knows? Anyway, either way. That is going to be it for tonight. Like I said, tomorrow, we'll do Tucker, and then we'll do some other fun stuff. And then Thursday, I said it earlier, and I'm going to plug it again. Thursday, we have the pre-Christmas stream. So on Thursday, we're going to be watching some of the greatest hits of the culture war. The war on Christmas, I should say. We're going to be watching the war on Christmas, some of the highlights from that, and kind of just vibe out to some nostalgic politics. And then I'm thinking, maybe, I don't know this for sure. Tomorrow also might be having a conversation with Skeptic Wolf. So also there's going to be that. But we'll also see maybe if he wants to come on, maybe on Thursday or something, or I'm not 100% sure, but maybe I'm thinking of doing maybe a right-wing tier list here. Just for let's kind of have some fun on Thursday. I'm thinking do some fun, lighthearted stuff, a little bit less of the serious, just kind of lean back, take it easy, talk shit. Anyway, but either way, that's been the show. You've been a great audience. I've been here for about 12 minutes over, and I will see you tomorrow. Also follow the stream if you haven't. If you're here, you're walking in, you're like, oh, who's this new streamer? They look kind of interesting. Look at their fun hat, and they've got a fun Eat the Rich poster that's out of focus right now. And do you know what this is? It's The Last of Us. It's Ellie, and yeah, I'm a gamer, whatever. But yeah, anyway, you should follow the stream. There's a little follow button. You should hit it, and then number go up, and then your name goes here. You get your little name down here. Your little number 34. So you should do that. Just saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it for me. You all have a nice day. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Well, nice night.